aired at the Nashville Superspeedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game.
Checkered flag in the air.
The game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun.
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
And welcome into the Monday edition of Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode. Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Hope everybody is doing well and that you had a good weekend and you're ready to go for this week as we prepare for a little Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing great. Did we play a little basketball yesterday?
No. Yeah, that didn't end up. There were logistical issues, which is probably fine. I do think that my LCL is not torn
That's
as
good.
I initially feared. So stepping out of my garage, with a little slight awkward step, did not tear the LCL, I think. So I could have gone, but yeah, it didn't work out, unfortunately.
Well, I'm just glad
we'll get them next time.
Yeah, I'm glad that your knee is apparently okay. That is
Thank you.
good. Michelle, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. So excited for this week. We got Thanksgiving. First time going back to New York since July. So I'm stoked. A little sleepy this morning, but going to be a short week, guys. So I'm so excited.
You got to watch the heroics of Marcus Mariota in person yesterday. How was that?
Yes, I did. And I was telling Robby, Joe, I didn't realize that there are no Falcons fans. We got there, and there were so many Bears fans there, which to me was like, why? But, yeah, there were, Go Bears chants in the stadium. But, yeah, what a thriller. It was actually a good, a high-scoring game, unlike a lot of other ones yesterday. So, yeah, a little sleepy coming back from that trip. But, yes, I got to watch Marcus Mariota in person. And the announcer says his name as Mariota. So, there you go, reporting back.
A lot of that out there, Joe.
Even, here – in Nashville, regardless of what may have gone on at times on the PA, they said Mariota. My gosh, that's inexcusable. And how did Ryan from Chicago take the L? Is he okay? Was he animated in the stands?
I don't know. It's kind of oh, they lost, but you don't really expect them to win. I think he's more nervous that Justin Fields is actually hurt. That was kind of the takeaway. We were like, oh no, that doesn't look good. So he didn't really care much about the loss, but better draft position. I'm like, just think about it. Better draft position. I'm trying to be the positive one. He's like, yeah. So
it's the most Chicago Bears thing I've ever heard. I love it.
Well, the thing is that's true for them. So meanwhile, the Lions, are just going to go ahead and win themselves toward the middle and get it's just classic.
They've won 3 games in a row, and they're 2 games under 500, Joe. The not so fast to the Derek Mason, Chase McCabe detractors out there that have picked them to make the playoffs. They're still alive, Joe Rexrode.
Oh, they're not making the playoffs, but they'll win. What this means to me is that Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud or maybe both are going to be all-time great quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. So this is the year that when the Lions were in position to get one of them, they decided, let's win a few for Dan Campbell. It's just absolutely perfect.
Well,
so whoever gets them, be ready. They're going to be amazing.
Well, we knew the light switch would flip on at some point for the mighty Detroit Lions, and it looks like they have. They've won 3 games in a row, and they take down the mighty New York Giants yesterday. We got a whole lot to get to on the show here today, including the fiasco for the Tennessee Volunteers on Saturday night in South Carolina. We'll get into what in the world happened in that game coming up here in just a few minutes. A gigantic win for Vanderbilt, their second consecutive SEC win as they take down the Florida Gators at home for the first time since 1988. So we'll look at that as well coming up here in just a few minutes. We begin with some games yesterday in the NFL. We've talked about the big win for the Atlanta Falcons and the Detroit Lions. And, Joe, for a minute yesterday, I thought that Jeff Saturday was about to move to 2-0 as head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And with some controversy in that game. There's an argument that maybe he should have moved to 2-0 as head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. But ultimately, Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, too much for the Colts yesterday. They win 17-16, and the Colts fall to 4-6-1. So the Titans at 7-3 in the AFC South, Colts at 4-6-1. Another good day, results-wise, on the field yesterday for the Tennessee Titans in terms of the race for the AFC South.
Yeah, it's another game, and they've had a few of these this year where they really are in position to win. The Colts, I mean, as for all the just disastrous, chain of events and weird decisions and everything. I mean, how many games have they been right there to win that they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory this year? I mean, they were in really good position to win that game. And, made a couple key mistakes. This is kind of what their way. This is what they were doing under Frank Reich. Now, apparently Jeff Saturday's got the same thing going on. So, I mean, even that, like, if they were 5-5-1 with wins over the Chiefs and Eagles right now, like, you could at least entertain the idea of something interesting happening, down the stretch, some kind of a pursuit of the Titans. But as it turns out, I mean, 4-6-1, and they're the only team within shouting distance. So it's more and more just looks like the Titans are basically playing for seeding positioning.
It does. And Jonathan Taylor, 22 carries, 84 yards, and a touchdown yesterday. They ran the ball 26 times against a really good Philadelphia front. They only averaged 3.8 a carry, but running the ball apparently is something that's going to be a heavy emphasis for Jeff Saturday. It's amazing how that works when you have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, and that has been the game plan for Jeff Saturday through the first 2 weeks. Matt Ryan getting the start again at quarterback for the Colts yesterday, 23 of 32, 213 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And A.J. Brown yesterday, what did he end up with? 5 catches, 60 yards. He did have the fumble too, Joe, which Titans Twitter thoroughly enjoyed yesterday against the Colts. I was like, you need A.J. Brown to win this game, man. Don't be rooting for him to fumble the ball. What's going on here?
Right. Yeah. Well, as long, you know what? Hey, I don't blame Titans Twitter for rooting against him. Just don't root for anyone to be injured. That's all you got to do. If you're rooting for someone to be injured, you got to look in the mirror.
That is true. The Chiefs come back last night on Sunday Night Football, and they take down the Chargers. So, I mean, Joe, it just feels like a lot more of the same from the L.A. Chargers this year. I thought that this was going to be the year that they really broke through, and it's not looking like it's going to be this year for the Chargers. But yet again, they're up late in the game, and Kansas City gets the ball, and they storm right down the field. They win the game, and Kansas City, I'll tell you, with all the departures that we've talked about, and A.J. Brown from the Titans, Tyreek Hill goes from Kansas City to Miami. Patrick Mahomes, I think he's firmly in the driver's seat for MVP right now.
Yeah, I would say you're right on that. There's, I mean, we'll see with Hurts and even Tua, but I would say you're right. He's got to be the leader right now. And Kelsey is just,
It's pretty good.
He's just
insane.
Yeah.
Those two.
And then Pacheco, who there's a lot of buzz about him, in preseason. Now you're starting to see a 15 for 107 for him yesterday. So just another weapon for them. So they look pretty strong. Atop that division. I mean, it's amazing. That was supposed to be, this incredible division. What we actually have is we have an AFC East and an NFC East of nothing but winning records right now. I mean, absolutely. Both of those things to me are more surprising. Well, it's all surprising. The fact that you got 2, 3, and 7 teams in the AFC West. It's one team with a winning record in the greatest division ever.
Well, and a walk-off win for the Raiders yesterday to take down the Broncos. The Broncos continue to find incredible ways to lose games. Devontae Adams kind of the walk-off touchdown yesterday. How about that Jets-Patriots game? It was a slugfest the whole game, and then it wasn't a walk-off, but it essentially was a walk-off punt return for the Patriots to win the game 10-3 yesterday. What an old slobber knocker that one was.
Yeah, real treat for if people who like defensive football got to like the NFL this year. There's been some doozies. I on that play, like there was to me, a blatant clip at about the 10-yard line. Like, I mean, it's right in front of the ref, and it's like that's as much a clip as you could have, isn't it? And they just didn't call it. I don't know why, but
they're ready to get out there just like everybody else.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Like, yep, that's it, whatever. No one got hurt. Let's go. And then how about well, first of all, the Commanders, by the way, 6-5. I know the Texans are bad, but Taylor Heineke, that's quite a story.
Yeah.
And I watched a fair amount of Cowboys Vikings, and tell you what, you take a left tackle away
Ugh.
from a quarterback who needs protection to stand in and make throws and does not avoid pass rush. I mean, the Cowboys must have had 23 sacks on Kirk Cousins yesterday. It was. I mean, the Vikings are 8-2 and they just lost 40-3.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then as far as it relates to like the seeding race in the AFC, the Ravens yesterday kind of messed around. They ended up winning 13-3 against the lowly Carolina Panthers. And Corey Curtis pointed this out to me on Friday when we were talking about the Titans and, kind of where they sit in the race for the 1 seed and all this different stuff. You got Kansas City at 8-2 now. The Ravens are now at 7-3, just like the Titans. Listen to the rest of this schedule for the Ravens. They got the Jags, the Broncos, the Steelers, the Browns, the Falcons, and the Steelers again. That's the schedule for the Ravens to close out the year. I mean, they're going to be favored in every single one of those games.
Wow, that is wild. I mean, the Steelers can rise up and in those divisions. I mean, they gave it a run yesterday against the Bengals, but yeah, boy, that should be a heck of a run ahead for them down the stretch.
We're off and running here today on Robby and Rexrode, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll get into what in the world happened to the Tennessee Volunteers in Columbia, South Carolina on Saturday night. Welcome more of your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let me tell you about my friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. You can get more kicks out of every World Soccer match with FanDuel. Soccer fans, now is the perfect time to give FanDuel a shot because new customers get $125 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. And there you can bet on everything from the money line to goals scored, even to corners as well. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. I like Team USA, who, by the way, plays today at 1 o'clock, to get out of this group stage, but you can take it any way you want to take it. Best of all, you'll get paid your winnings instantly, so don't miss your chance to get $125 in free bets, win or lose, when you join FanDuel with promo code ROB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789.
College football
Touchdown, Georgia. Nice catch and move by Holden. Touchdown.
lives here. Don't miss every exciting play each Saturday.
Into the end zone. Touchdown to the freshman, Dane Key.
It's all presented by Twin Peaks, your home of 20-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports, and by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Eddie George. You know we all have crazy busy lives and don't take time to research car insurance, right? Well, you don't have to. Xander Insurance does all the work for you. Their system shops over 15 top companies to find you the best rates, and they keep shopping every year. Their clients have saved an average of $600. That's why I'm a client. Xander gives me more options. More options means more savings. Get free quotes at XanderInsurance.com or call 800-356-1780.
It's Black Friday weekend, and Genesis Diamonds is giving away free Yetis, free pizza ovens, free Always pans, and free smart TVs. When you buy any piece of jewelry at Genesis this weekend, you'll get one of the year's coolest holiday gifts, absolutely free. Stock the tree with something for everyone this year. Spend just $299 or more on a piece of jewelry, and Genesis gives you a free rechargeable hand warmer or shiatsu massager. Spend $500 and you'll get an Ember Smart Mug, or spend at least $1,000 at Genesis this weekend, and you'll get a free mini projector or big horn pizza oven. So you can get her that beautiful ring or pair of earrings for Christmas and get one of the year's hottest gifts at no extra charge. How about a Yeti Tundra when you spend at least $1,800 this weekend? Or listen to this, spend $3,500 on a piece of jewelry and choose between a 55-inch 4K TV and a Dyson Airwrap. Yours free. Don't miss the Black Friday event. This Friday through Cyber Monday, only at Genesis Diamonds. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Need assistance with door and window projects? The Home Depot can help. From inspiration and materials to ordering and installation, our free Millwork virtual apron service can get you moving and doing. Plus, we speak Spanish too. Our associates can help you tackle complex jobs without you leaving the job site, saving you time and money. Call us at 1-833-HD-APRON or visit homedepot.com/MVA. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. At the Home Depot, we have Black Friday savings all through November. And with that comes a joyful holiday bustle that we just love to hear. Although we also love the sound that comes after the holidays, when people put their new tools to use. In fact, we love it so much. When you buy select Milwaukee M18 kits, you'll get an extra tool for free. So after you're done filling the air with holiday magic, you can fill it with the sounds of doing. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
For us in this program, this one needs to hurt on the way back and needs to hurt the guys that aren't on this trip that will be in our building tomorrow afternoon and be there on Monday. For us to grow as a program, you got to look at this opportunity and understand what happened and let it hurt and remember that as you move forward and let it help you grow.
That was Josh Heupel after a 63-38 loss for Tennessee on Saturday night in Columbia, South Carolina. Joe, if you had to hand draw what disaster looks like for this Tennessee football team, it's probably pretty close to what happened on Saturday night in Columbia, South Carolina with this group. They give up 63 points to Spencer Rattler and the South Carolina Gamecocks offense, which heading into that game, I think Rattler had 8 touchdown passes on the season, and he threw 6 on Saturday night against the Vols. And then to cap it all off, Hendon Hooker tears his ACL, is done for the rest of the season, and his Tennessee football career is done as well. So we'll get a little bit more into the Hendon Hooker part of this here in just a few minutes. But, Joe, first off, just your reaction to the game itself. What in the world happened to Tennessee on Saturday night against South Carolina?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's like the defense just broke, one thing that did come to mind as I'm watching this, there are defensive coaches out there who are very dubious of being a defensive coordinator paired with Tennessee's offense. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming Tennessee's offense for this. What I am saying is that there is a lot of strain put on a defense because even if your offense is doing well, a lot of times you have 9 seconds to get a blow. Also, it's into the weeds a little bit, but practicing is very difficult for defenses when their offense does this, and that's not what they're seeing. Yeah, I mean, this is like there's other systems like that too, where it's like your offense is like if you're a triple option team, right? And like you're going up against a pro style team that week, like you have a scout team, but it's still like best versus best doesn't really happen for you, A long way around saying I'm just trying to search for answers of like how the Vols could be that bad defensively at any point. They haven't been great this year, but they've had some good moments, some good games, and overall have been fine. I mean, South Carolina receivers were just playing catch out there.
Yeah.
I don't really understand how it could have been as bad as it was, but it was. I mean, like you said with Rattler, 30 for 37, 430 yards and 6 touchdowns. I mean, he looked like, well, the guy that everybody said was the number 1 pick, 14 months ago. Just Wells, 11 for 177. And he never had, his long was 36, but it was just basically wide open all night. Just like you said, a disaster. And ultimately that offense, I mean, your margin for error is so low because at some point it just became obvious, like they're going to score every time they get the ball. You have to somehow tip a pass, get a turnover or something, and certainly you have to score every time you have the ball.
Well, it was one of those games, Joe. I was in the press box at Bridgestone Arena just watching it, and South Carolina gets off to the hot start, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, they're at home. It's Saturday night. Their offense is humming right now. They got a lot of energy coming out of the gate. You can get one stop if you're Tennessee, and then maybe you could turn the tide a little bit, and they never really got one stop. South Carolina punted one time in the game. They punted one time in the entire game, and they put up 63 points. And that's the thing, like, I don't want to take anything away from Spencer Rattler because he was really good in this game, 30 of 37, like you said, 438 yards and 6 touchdowns. But I also watched some of the plays, and I'm like, well, how many good throws did Spencer Rattler really have to make? The receivers were open by 17 yards. Like, they're just running wide open out there the whole night. And I could not for the life of me understand how that happened. And look, Jeremy Banks didn't play in the game, and that was a big talking point on Saturday night as to the reasons for that and what's going on with Jeremy Banks. But look, I understand that Jeremy Banks has been really good this year, and he's a big part of that defense. Jeremy Banks, the loss of him does not directly excuse what happened to this defense on Saturday night. 63 points, giving up wide open routes left and right to a South Carolina offense, and quite frankly, a South Carolina receiving corps that has got some ability, but has not done that to anybody all season long, and you just got absolutely torched. It was amazing, and whether it was Kamal Haddon or Tamarion McDonald or Jalen McCunner, really, look, anybody you want to point to on the defensive side of the ball, it was a combination of a couple things, Joe. They couldn't really get pressure on Spencer Rattler, and certainly they didn't cover in the secondary. It was an atrocious defensive performance.
Well, and the thing is, look, the coverage, we know that they aren't good enough in the secondary. We know this. They have to upgrade that position, and that was going to be urgent. No matter, they could have won this game, 45-20. It would have been the same thing. But pressure that's been something that's what they've had to have, and they, for the most part, had it. South Carolina a week earlier lost 38-6 to Florida, and 2 weeks before that lost 23-10 at home to Missouri.
Yeah.
There was no indication that South Carolina had a game like this in them at all. And so I'm with you. Now, I will say this on Banks. I totally agree just from a technical, him off the field. He's a good blitzer, and they miss him.
Sure.
It doesn't. But the possibly the distraction of why he was there, maybe that, had some sort of effect on the Vols. Not trying to excuse, bad performance, just bad defense. But as you said, a lot of talking points. He's tweeted, you guys are wrong about why I'm not there, whatever. But when you listen to Josh Heupel's comments, including about hope the guys who aren't on the trip also. That was an interesting comment by Josh Heupel. He wants the guys who aren't on the trip also to feel this loss.
Well, and there's all sorts of rumors floating around. Whether I saw the rumor Saturday night, Jeremy Banks got an altercation with Hendon Hooker in the locker room, and when some of those things come out in the immediate aftermath of the loss, my skepticism turns up pretty high. I'm like, okay, well, let's wait for something actually to be substantiated to come out about that. Like you said, Jeremy Banks tweeted about that yesterday and addressed that and said that that's not true. So I don't know what in the world's going on with Jeremy Banks and why he wasn't playing in the game, and I don't know that we'll ever find out about it from Josh Heupel directly. So we'll have to wait and see. But like you said, 63 points to a South Carolina offense that had shown zero signs of doing that to anybody so far this season. It's a shocking performance. And, we talked about it heading into the game, and you brought it up. Are you leaving any room for South Carolina at home under the lights with Spencer Rattler as the quarterback to be able to come alive offensively? and you get into a shootout. And quite frankly, like I really wasn't. Like there was no sign for me heading into this game that this was going to happen. But it became clear about the third or fourth drive into that game, Joe, that Tennessee had zero answers for South Carolina defensively. Zero.
Yeah, it's amazing. Their drive chart, 9 for 75 touchdown, 5 for 65 touchdown, 7 for 64 touchdown, 7 for 74 touchdown, 9 for 75 touchdown. Then you have the end of the half. Then you have the 1-3 and out. Then you get right back to 9 for 65 touchdown, 11 for 75 touchdown, 4 for 17 touchdown, 9 for 82 touchdown. Ball game. I mean, it can't really get much worse than that for a defensive football team. So it's obviously a massive disappointment because Tennessee, I still believe, was going to find its way into the playoff. I know USC won, TCU had a dramatic win, Michigan and TCU were both totally on the ropes and probably should have lost. They both won. USC,
Ohio State.
Yeah, that's true. Ohio State was also, Maryland gave them a real run. So all those teams, but there's still things I think would have cleared. Like we'll see how the whole picture unfolds. I bet you once it's all done, enough things will happen that would have put the 11-1 balls in the playoff, which is going to be probably worse. You probably, if you're a Vols fan, root for all those things that not happen, so you don't have to feel bad about it. Another thing is another thing here is they go from playoff to, I don't think they're going to be in the Sugar Bowl because I think it's going to be Bama or LSU. So I'm not even sure that they're not a lock for a New Year's Six Bowl at this point. I think they'll get one, maybe the Cotton Bowl, something like that, maybe the Orange Bowl, but that's a pretty big fall, from where they were. But you also, it's like, look, how many Tennessee fans are signing up right now for 9-2 at this point? If you went back to the beginning of the season, I mean, every Tennessee fan, right? Basically, but it's just when you have all this at stake and then you perform like this in a game that I still believe they should have won comfortably. It's just. It's a big downer, man.
Well, I tweeted this out Saturday night. I mean, I think a couple of things can be true at the same time. That was a disgusting performance from Tennessee defensively, and I think Vols fans have every right to be mad and every right to be upset with what we saw from that group on Saturday night. I also think, and I tweeted this is probably the most fun Tennessee fans have had in a long time, and there's still a good chance they're going to end up at 10-2 now. That game all of a sudden has become way more interesting than I thought it was going to be, and we'll get into that coming up a little bit later in the show. But, there's a good chance they're going to end up at 10-2. I think Tennessee fans would have taken that before the season. But to me, Joe, those two things, while you can separate them a little bit, they can both be true at the same time.
Yes. It's hard to look, I get that it's hard to because you do change expectations. I mean, that happens all the time. So expectations are what they are at a certain point, and then you change them. And they should have been changed. They should have been as high. I still believe that Tennessee, playing its best, could beat a Michigan and Ohio State. We've seen them beat Alabama. Whoever in the playoff they might have seen. And I still think this offense with Hendon Hooker operating at its best and executing might be the best chance of anyone out there beating Georgia in a game. But we're not going to see it now.
Well, you're not going to see it. We're off and running, taking your thoughts on Tennessee and their loss to South Carolina on Saturday. What happened to the Vols, and what does it mean for this group as they try to close out the season coming up on Saturday against Vanderbilt? We'll get into that. We'll get into the Hendon Hooker injury as well. Everything on the table at 615-737-1025. More on that coming up next. What's better than Black Friday? Gold Friday with the Nashville Predators. If you're looking for the perfect gift to give this holiday season, give an experience such as tickets to the 2023 SEC Men's Basketball Tournament, Widespread Panic, Jelly Roll, Toby Mac, Monster Jam, WWE, and more. You can also check out the 5-game pick plan presented by Hattie B's. Pick any 5 Preds games, plus receive a Preds card flag and a gift card to Hattie B's. Buy during Gold Friday and get a 6th game for free. Visit NashvillePredators.com/Gold Friday for details. Once again, that's NashvillePredators.com/Gold Friday.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes.
Tune in to Robby and Rexrode every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yost.
Matt Duchene. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Attention hockey fans, come see Northeastern and Western Michigan face off at this year's Music City Hockey Classic in a matchup of two of the NCAA's top 20 ranked college teams at Bridgestone Arena Friday, November 25th, 6:30 p.m. Get your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com. Let the puck drop and the excitement begin. Northeastern Huskies versus the Western Michigan Broncos in Nashville, November 25th.
Hey, it's Hutton. Guys, do you need an annual health exam? I recommend going to Low T Center to get your complete health assessment. They will check all of your levels, not just your T level. In most cases, it's completely covered by your health insurance. And if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 for a full lab panel and an office visit with their medical provider to give you a complete health assessment. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy, even verifying your insurance. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Do Tennesseans know every word to Rocky Top? Well, the construction industry doesn't call our area rock country for no reason. Harmon Tractor and Equipment is your tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's employee-owned Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. So if you hit rock, need a breaker, and it's time to dig, give them a call. Rent a track loader, an excavator of any size for landscaping, building a pool, construction, utilities, or more. Visit ParmanTractor.com, providing totally outrageous customer service.
It's electric in Smashville. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 429 has a new path to a dignified career. Local 429 is accepting applications for the highest skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org. IBEW Local 429, your proud seventh man since the beginning. Go Preds!
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Monday morning. We'll have Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel coming up at 7 o'clock to discuss a wild night in South Carolina. South Carolina takes down Tennessee 63-38, and Hendon Hooker lost for the season with a torn ACL on Saturday night. Joe Rexrode, you saw him plant, and quite frankly, as soon as I saw him plant and drop the ball, I was kind of scared about what that probably meant for Hendon Hooker, and it was confirmed yesterday that he indeed has a torn ACL. His Tennessee football career is over, and obviously, I mean, he'll be heading to the NFL draft. Really interested to see what happens on that front? Just a really awful break for Hendon Hooker and this Tennessee football team. But for him specifically, just with the way that he's played this season, the way he's played, basically from the moment he took over as starting quarterback from Tennessee, you're talking about a heck of a career in a very short period of time, and it was really tough to watch Hendon Hooker go down that way on Saturday night.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah, as soon as you see like you said, the awkwardness of that play, you fear the worst. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but it did. So it's tough. Not fair to him at all. And look, that offense was. I mean, ultimately, it's like they couldn't keep up with what South Carolina was doing, scoring every time he got the ball. But he was incredible. I mean, he's an all-time Tennessee great. That's that's the simple way to put it. He there for a short period of time, one of the great quarterbacks in the history of the school, and a guy who we'll see where things go from here, obviously, right? Because nothing's guaranteed moving forward with Josh Heupel in this program, but things look pretty good. Look like they're going to be pretty competitive, and recruiting's going well, and just like to me, Hendon Hooker is the main reason, not just for the turnaround of the field, the success, but just the relevance, and also kind of bringing the fan base back to from a rough spot with where they were just a couple years ago. I mean, he deserves, if you're gonna, of course, Josh Heupel, it's his program, it's his scheme, and all that stuff, but Hendon Hooker deserves a whole bunch of that credit.
Well, he does, and it was cool to watch when they played Missouri. Kind of the reaction from the crowd when they did all the senior day stuff. When he was walking out there, he directed the band and stuff like that off the field. But I mean, you thought the game on Saturday night would go differently, and that they would have a chance maybe to see Hendon Hooker in the college football playoff as you move forward. So I think even at the time where he got hurt, you probably knew that was rapidly fading away with the way that game was going. But other than that, I mean, just the ability for him to finish things out against Vanderbilt and play. I mean, I don't know whether or not he would have decided to play in the bowl game, wherever it would have been. But to give him the opportunity to go out on his own terms would have been great to see. And sometimes that's life. Sometimes that's certainly football and sports where injuries happen and it's not always fair. But you knew as soon as he planted on that left leg, it went down the way he did. I mean, he was in tremendous pain. And then, my first thought watching him limp off the field was like, does South Carolina not have a cart anywhere? Like, is there no cart that they have anywhere on the field out there the other night? I mean, Turnage had to limp all the way in the locker room when he got hurt. I was like, does South Carolina own a cart? That was my first thought watching him get off the field. It was painful to watch him just walk off like that.
That's a good point. Like Spurrier, get rid of them all or something.
I don't know.
For home players only. No, it's just so unfair. I mean, obviously the knee injuries, so many of them are like that, right? They're just a one little awkward plant, non-contact. But think about how many hits that guy took, like how many runs. As great of a passer as he was, the numbers are outrageous. How many times did he spin and then take on a bunch of guys and take huge hits and fall forward and get up first? I mean, he was incredibly tough and courageous as a runner. You think about all those plays, and then a play like this, ends his career. So very unfair. And it's tough for him too when you think about his NFL prospects. He's going to get drafted somewhere for sure. It's going to be really interesting. The combine would have been great for him, and I even think just another opportunity on a big stage to play well. He played incredibly well against Alabama and then not well against Georgia. Another opportunity against one of the top teams would have been, and even if it was in like a Sugar Bowl or something, against a really good team, would have been good for him and that. But look, he's going to be a really interesting draft prospect. I'm very interested to see where he ends up going. It does not help him, obviously, to have this injury now and not be able to do some of the things. He can do the interviewing, and that will go extremely well for him. There's no doubt about that. But it's really tough for someone who's already been through so much.
Well, speaking of that, how much do you think this type of injury at that position affects him come draft time. He's an interesting guy anyway, because I don't know, even if he remained completely healthy, like exactly where he was going to fall draft-wise. But I do wonder now with the torn ACL what sort of a difference that makes in terms of the draft for Hendon Hooker.
Yeah. Look, ACL tears now are, and I think in particular with skill guys, you expect an ACL tear to heal completely. And I don't believe that he's had previously any serious injuries. He had, some stuff going on, some health stuff going on at Virginia Tech, but it wasn't something like this. It wasn't a knee or anything. So I don't know. I just think it hurts. I think more than anything, like if you believe he's a starting quarterback, he can be your quarterback, then I don't think the ACL is going to stop anybody from drafting him. I think it just hurts him in terms of his ability to go to Indy and do everything that he can do to help himself. It kind of goes with the question we got on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com by Heidi. And, look, it's not like this is all that, like all that unique a viewpoint, but her text said, do other teams have guys who stand in front of sheets to call the play in? Between that and the hurry-up offense, it seems like the ball success is really gimmicky. Can that win a championship? And I said, yes. First of all, a lot of teams do that. And, yeah, it can win a championship. You have to be great at quarterback. You have to have a more complete team. Obviously, this team does not have a defense good enough to win a championship. That's why they just give up 63 to South Carolina and they're out. But the scheme quarterback thing, the system quarterback thing, like there are going to be people who say, like, you just don't have the kinds of opportunities to throw the ball that Hooker has in that offense. And that's fine. I think that's fair to look at that. It's a different kind of game. What they do, they take advantage of rules in college football that are not the same in the NFL. But my question is simply, is he accurate? Does he see the field well and make quick decisions? Is he a great athlete? Is he smart? Is he a great leader? He checks all the boxes. So I'll be interested. Like, if you tell me right now that he's like a third-round pick or something, I'm not shocked by that, but I feel like that could be an incredible value for somebody.
Chuck on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says J-Rob will take him with the first pick, given the Titans' recent draft choices. I knew we'd have a J-Rob comment on this somewhere. Boy. Chuck, you delivered. Way to go on the text line.
You got it in first, Chuck. You got it in first. Good job, buddy.
Well, to wrap kind of this part of the discussion up, I think you nailed the kind of the legacy of Hendon Hooker at Tennessee pretty nicely. It was a relatively short period of time that he was the starting quarterback, but you're talking about 2 years of just extremely high-level quarterback play. And I've said this before, with the way that recruiting is going with Josh Heupel and obviously with Nico coming in and, the Joe Milton taking over as quarterback now, which we'll get to here in just a second. There very well could be some more talented, more physically gifted quarterbacks that come into Tennessee and Josh Heupel's program as they continue to move forward here. And I have no doubt that might be the case. I do think it's going to be hard, regardless of the physical gifts that these people have, to play as well as Hendon Hooker's played. Like, it's a pretty high bar that Hendon Hooker has established here in terms of quarterback play. So his legacy is, just think about when he came in, what this program looked like. And yes, Heupel deserves a lot of credit. There's a lot of people that deserve a lot of credit for the turnaround we've seen. Nobody more so than Hendon Hooker in the last couple of years. And people have talked about this the last couple of days. I would not be surprised at some point if there's a street or something over there named after Hendon Hooker. And I think the term you used is pretty apt. He is a Tennessee all-time great.
No doubt. No doubt. Yes, I got to find something to name after him.
615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll continue the discussion on the Vols with Joe Milton taking over as starting quarterback. How does that impact the rest of this season, starting with the game against, all of a sudden, the red-hot Vanderbilt Commodores coming up on Saturday? We'll get into that coming up next. But first, Michelle Knezovic has a word from Superbook Sportsbook.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Robbie. And listen, the World Cup kicks off today. You've got the U.S. playing at 1 p.m. today, and also 2 Nashville SC players are on the U.S. team, so if you want to bet on that, on the money line, their odds are plus 140. We've also got a little Monday Night Football action happening tonight. We've got the San Francisco 49ers, and we've also got the Cardinals. Listen, the Niners are favored by 7.5. I think that they can beat this Cardinals team by about 10 points. I don't think it's going to be a very close game. The Cardinals have been a disappointment yet again, but you've also got basketball happening, hockey, the Preds play tonight, and there's no better place to wager on all of that than Superbook Sports. When you sign up, deposit, and wager all on the same day, Superbook will give you a bonus up to $1,000. When the sports world is busy, it is busy to get winning some money. So download the Superbook Sportsbook app or visit superbook.com to wager and win today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Don't wait. Get Black Friday pricing all week long at Electronic Express. Hurry into our convenient locations for the hottest gifts like 4K TVs, computers, tablets, smart home, appliances, and more. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 48 months free financing. Electronic Express has all of your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Whirlpool, Sony, Apple, and more. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Stores open early this Friday at 5 a.m. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Golfers, tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops with TaylorMade. The TaylorMade Stealth Carbon Wood Age is here, featuring 60 layers of carbon layer for better energy transfer and faster ball speeds. And now available, the new TaylorMade High Toe Milled Wedges, designed for a lower launch and more spin. While you're there, pick up the popular TaylorMade Tour Response Stripe golf balls. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and have one of our experienced experts custom fit you for free today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
In winning teams, every player brings their unique strength and has an impact on the results. The Dallas Mavericks drafted Jason Kidd with the second pick in the 1995 draft. But after 2.5 seasons, they traded him to Phoenix, and he then played for the Nets. It was not until he was 34 when he became a Maverick once again. He was exactly what they needed and became an integral part of a team that went on to win the 2011 NBA Finals over the Miami Heat.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
If your team needed a point guard, you wouldn't waste your time interviewing centers and forwards, right? Well, the same is true for your business. LinkedIn Jobs taps into a network of over 850 million professionals to find the right people for your role. LinkedIn Jobs helps you narrow down to the most qualified candidates so you can start hiring the right people. Go to linkedin.com/sports to post your job for free. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Chase McCabe.
The best way to figure that out is to watch Twitter.
Willie Donick.
Trying to move down the field for the winning field goal.
And Derek Mason.
I'm putting in my hours, and I'm out of here.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Has been a long time struggle, but what's kind of your message to kind of motivate more Vanderbilt fans to not let Tennessee fans fill up the stadium next week going for bowl eligibility?
That's not a part of my job. You know, I'm preparing the team, and hopefully people are paying attention to what we're doing. And all we can do is, again, focus on what's inside this program, focus on each other. And what we're building here, and over time people will take notice of that. And so we're going to put our energy on our performance so that we can strengthen and be ready for a great fight next weekend. And anything outside of that is not going to be part of our focus.
That's Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee after the win against Florida, looking ahead to Tennessee coming up on Saturday. We'll get into Vanderbilt's win coming up here in just a few minutes against Florida, taking down the Gators at home for the first time since 1988. Right now, talking Vols, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. So, Joe, we've discussed the Hendon Hooker injury. He is out for the remainder of the season with the torn ACL. Joe Milton comes in relief the other night, goes 4 of 8, 108 yards, and a touchdown. Had the deep shot to Squirrel White out there as well. But he's going to be the starter against Vanderbilt. He'll be the starter in the bowl game coming up as well. So with Joe Milton taking over now, number one, you're probably getting a look at who your starting quarterback's going to be next year, leaving, I guess, some room for Nico to come in and just wow everybody from the jump. But what does it mean now with Milton taking over and replacing Hendon Hooker for the game Saturday against Vanderbilt and ultimately maybe for whatever bowl game Tennessee ends up in as well?
Yeah, well, look, you mentioned there may be quarterbacks who come in and have more talent than Hendon Hooker, but how they're going to perform as well. I mean, here's a great example. Joe Milton has, and I know people can laugh at this, and that's fine. Joe Milton has number 1 overall pick talent. Now, I have no idea if he's going to be any kind of pick in the NFL because you have to be efficient and you have to be consistent and you have to put it all together. And obviously, he wasn't doing that early last year. He gets hurt. Hooker comes in. All of a sudden, it's like, wow, look at how much better this is operating. The ball's out fast. The ball's accurate. He is not nearly the athlete Joe Milton is. He cannot throw it 1,000 yards like Joe Milton can, but those are not the most important things about a quarterback. But I will say that what I've seen from Milton, and it's garbage time, and so you have to take it with a grain of salt. Seems to be a guy who has worked on some things and has maybe taken that fastball, learned to change up a little bit.
Yeah.
No, he still has the cannon and he'll use it, but I'm very intrigued. I think this is basically this game and the bowl game, whatever bowl game it is absolutely a preview, and it's a little bit of a head start for Joe Milton on being the starter next year. I think he's the clear favorite to be the starter next year. Like you said, Nico could come in, and Taven Jackson too. Who knows? You don't know what's going to happen. But Joe Milton now has had a lot of time in this system. Remember, Josh Heupel recruited him to be his quarterback.
Yep.
Hendon Hooker was there waiting for him. Jeremy Pruitt had brought Hendon Hooker to Knoxville from Virginia Tech. And Joe Milton was the clear, let's recruit over Hendon Hooker, and now we have a stud quarterback. And good for Heupel you have to, and Alex Golish and all Halsley for taking the information and say, look, this guy's better right now. But they've been excited about Joe Milton still throughout. I can promise you that. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he operates this offense for the first time. A chance to kind of vault toward the top. I think he's already the favorite, but he could almost solidify it, cement it if he plays well in these two games.
Well, I think the word you use there that is really important is operate. That's what I want to see from Joe Milton. He even had a play. It may have been the first drive he's in there the other night. It's an RPO. Actually, it was a read option, and it was like 3rd and 1. And the end just totally crashed, and he handed it off anyway. And I was like, man, if you pulled that, that's a 35-yard run right there. The decision-making is what I think part of just the accuracy with Hendon Hooker was great. But the decision-making, I think, is really what separated him. It felt like Hendon Hooker made the right decision. Not every time, but darn near every time. Like that's why you don't turn the football over. That's why it's a lot of what Hendon Hooker's success was making good decisions. And can Joe Milton do that? That's going to be the question as they move forward. Now, even last year when he was the starter to begin the season, I didn't feel like he made poor decisions. He just missed wide open guys. So that's ultimately going to be the story with Joe Milton. I think his decision-making for the most part is fine, but can he hit the wide open players? Can he maximize, what his ability is in this offense as they move forward? And if he can, then I think you've got reason to be really excited if you're a Tennessee fan, because I agree with you. I think the talent that he has is pretty evident, and it's undeniable. But can you, with you being the starter and playing meaningful snaps and not just garbage time snaps now, can you make some big throws? Can you make some high-pressure throws in big-time situations, whether that be against Vanderbilt or whether that be in the bowl game? Like that's what, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I'd be really interested to find out when it comes to Joe Milton. We got a text on the text line. Michael on the text line says, what it means is Hyatt will now be catching 85-yard bombs compared to 50-yard bombs with Hendon Hooker in there. Very well could be the case, but I'm very intrigued. Yeah, even starting this week against Vanderbilt, Joe, with him being the unquestioned starter all week long, how does Joe Milton respond? And what does the offense look like with him in complete control of the operation? It's really fascinating to me.
Well, it is, and the thing is, it's made more fascinating by Vanderbilt's play.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been tremendous. I mean, that like the Vanderbilt defense and what they've turned into here down the stretch. Yes, against a couple offenses that have been inconsistent, have had their issues, but still, Vanderbilt's defense is the defense you're supposed to get well against, you know? And the way that they have played previously in this season, I mean, that's exactly what you would expect. I mean, they've really come on here. And of course with Mike Wright at quarterback too. And so I think it's going to be a fascinating game of what Vanderbilt does. What the crowds, I mean, there's still an attempt to, checker the stadium. Are Vanderbilt fans going to show up in more force now because their team has won 2 straight and actually has a chance to get to a bowl game? It's just way more interesting a game than I ever would have dreamed it would be, which is just the last few weeks are just another great example of, you think but you don't know. 18-22. Or whatever, 18-24 now in the COVID era.
Borderline 25, yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah. 18-36, okay?
Yes.
But it's amazing to see how we think we know something about these college football teams, and then on a particular Saturday, it's like, what the heck was that? This game could go a whole bunch of different ways. And the Milton aspect of it, the Hendon Hooker injury is awful, just awful.
Yeah.
And but the Milton starting aspect now is very interesting. And look, that next year the big question is going to be, can they build on this? And I think Joe Milton is probably the guy who's going to be charged with doing that.
Well, and just think about how much changes in 2 weeks, Joe. So there's a lot of factors that go into this. I mean, Tennessee just got their butts kicked against South Carolina, and Hendon Hooker's out for the season. So that's obviously going to affect the line. But Tennessee's a 15.5-point favorite against Vanderbilt coming into this game. If I would have told you 2 weeks ago that Tennessee was a 15.5-point favorite against Vanderbilt, I mean, I would have bet my mortgage on Tennessee covering that spread. And now I watch the way Vanderbilt's playing and Joe Milton coming in, and you don't have Hendon Hooker. I have no idea how this game's going to go coming up on Saturday. No clue.
I'm with you. And it's, frankly, it's more interesting when you don't have a clue. That line, let's see, like that line before, because I'm trying to think, because on the 12th, Vanderbilt beat Kentucky, but Tennessee beat Missouri by 1 million. I mean, that line a couple weeks ago would have been, what, 28?
At least.
Right? I mean, like something.
I feel like more.
It could have been
more than that, maybe? Yeah, at least like high 20s, right?
For sure. Now that just goes to show you how much could change in a very short period of time. 615-737-1025. We'll have Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News-Sentinel coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the Vols' loss to South Carolina and how Tennessee handles the Hendon Hooker injury as they move forward here. That's coming up next. Preds fans hang out before the Preds games at the Superbook Lounge and Landshark Bar and Grill Margaritaville on Broadway with 102.5-106.3 The Game. Place your bets with Superbook and enjoy great food and drink specials, plus enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Tennessee touchdown! Middle Tennessee gets the score.
We live the game.
Just work on the little things every day.
They think the coaches are just coaches.
We are.
We got pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome Game 7.
What a stop made by UC Sound.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Wasp with special guest Armored Saint live at Ryman Auditorium November 23rd. It's Wasp with special guest Armored Saint. Celebrate Thanksgiving Eve with the most enduring heavy metal band ever. November 23rd at Ryman Auditorium. Get tickets at Ryman.com.
Men, are you asking yourself questions like, why am I gaining fat? Why is my energy or sex drive down and maybe haven't been getting the exercise you need? If you want to get back to the man you used to be but just don't have that youthful energy, that edge you once had, you very well might have low testosterone. Low T causes all kinds of issues, from a reduced libido, lower drive, and bad sleep patterns to problems with muscle gain, bone density, and more. It may even contribute to erectile dysfunction, and if this sounds like you, it's probably time to get treated for your low T. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've treated thousands of men for low T. We've seen them put on muscle, add to their energy, improve their sex lives, get better sleep, and just feel better. Plus, if you're like most men, you'll see results in only a few weeks. So make an appointment today and experience how testosterone therapy can truly change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. Call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
It's Black Friday weekend, and Genesis Diamonds is giving away free Yetis, free pizza ovens, free Always pans, and free smart TVs. When you buy any piece of jewelry at Genesis this weekend, you'll get one of the year's coolest holiday gifts, absolutely free. Stock the tree with something for everyone this year. Spend just $299 or more on a piece of jewelry, and Genesis gives you a free rechargeable hand warmer or shiatsu massager. Spend $500 and you'll get an Ember Smart Mug, or spend at least $1,000 at Genesis this weekend, and you'll get a free mini projector or big horn pizza oven. So you can get her that beautiful ring or pair of earrings for Christmas and get one of the year's hottest gifts at no extra charge. How about a Yeti Tundra when you spend at least $1,800 this weekend? Or listen to this, spend $3,500 on a piece of jewelry and choose between a 55-inch 4K TV and a Dyson Airwrap. Yours free. Don't miss the Black Friday event. This Friday through Cyber Monday, only at Genesis Diamonds. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball. We got pass rushers.
Awesome game set.
Checker flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun.
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Talking Vols, and to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel. Adam, good morning. How we doing?
Pretty good, guys. How y'all doing?
We're great. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. So a lot to get to here, Adam. Let's just start with the game itself on Saturday. What in the world happened to Tennessee's defense, and how surprised were you to watch what unfolded on Saturday night in Columbia, South Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the night, the takeaway was Tennessee saw what it felt like to play Tennessee, because, I mean, the sense that you got was there was no evidence that they were ever going to stop South Carolina. South Carolina was going to score every time they get the ball, and they pretty much did. And that's how Tennessee's opponents usually feel, that you feel this pressure from the jump that you're going to have to put up just an enormous amount of points because your defense isn't going to stop the other side. And then it culminated with, storming the field and seeing how that felt. You had Shane Beamer throwing a deep ball and scoring late. You saw how that felt. the script is flipped in Tennessee, and defensively, I mean, I think this changes. I'll give maybe a silver lining to Tennessee fans, and I've tried this in my own household. Hasn't worked yet, so I'll try it on the air. Is that there were big issues on that defense. There were issues in the secondary. There were issues in terms of personnel that were going to have to be fixed. And if those were not exposed, you were probably going to take them for granted a little bit in the off season. I think there's no question now that there are problems there that have to be that can't just be taped over in the off season. There can't be Band-Aids on those things. They have some major problems in the secondary. Don't know if that's necessarily coaching or scheme. It's at least personnel. And those things were probably going to be hidden if you didn't see a game like this, because there's a lot of teams around the conference now that look at that and say, well, we could put up 50 on that team too, because they played 7 SEC games, and 3 of them the quarterback threw for over 400 yards. You're just not going to have a season even this good or better if you're giving up those many yards on that side of the ball.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask how Bev's doing, but still very good season, right? Very, very good season for the Vols.
Yeah, I mean, Cotton Bowl maybe, Orange Bowl maybe. The floor, I guess, if you win on Saturdays, the Citrus Bowl. I heard you on the air, but earlier that you change your expectations. That's certainly true. At this point, there's just so many different storylines to how the season ends than what it was a week ago.
So, Adam, look, I don't. He's a good player. So we were talking about this earlier. It's not like you say, oh yeah, well, if they had Banks, totally different thing. I mean, he's a good blitzer, he's a good player. I don't think just his absence was a big deal on the field. But do you sense that there was some sort of distraction that may have been affecting Tennessee in this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's all the rumors, and we've all read them over the past couple days. They were out there before the game. I'll say that some of the wild rumors of schisms on the team and any altercations between Banks and whoever. By the way, my approach over these years to those types of stories, and we've all heard millions of those types of stories, is that there's usually a little bit of truth to them, but when you lose a game, they take on sort of a life of their own. So we'll see how much Josh Heupel can tell us about it. I did think it was sort of cryptic the other night that he said people that didn't make the trip need to feel the hurt of this game. I think that was a direct shot at Jeremy Banks. Yeah, on the field, it made a little bit of difference. I mean, he's their best blitzing linebacker. They didn't have a great pass rush. I don't think guys in the secondary were not covering guys well because they were distraught over whatever happened with Jeremy Banks. Tennessee loses that game if Jeremy Banks is on the field. Now, the sort of the tenor of the game, the tone of the team, I think that was certainly affected. Whatever did or didn't go down, that team was flat. It was sluggish. It didn't have the fire that it usually does, and I think it sort of was sleepwalking a little bit into that game. And if you're giving up touchdowns right immediately as they did, and then you're in catch-up mode, you're what Tennessee's opponents usually are, and that's you're beat within 10 minutes of the game starting, and that's how that turned.
Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So, Adam, obviously, I mean, you hate to see Hendon Hooker go down the way that he went down, and he'll be out for the rest of Tennessee's season, and hopefully, best of luck to him as he gets ready for the NFL draft. As you look at Hendon Hooker and his legacy at Tennessee, what stands out to you? What do you think that legacy will be?
I mean, he was the guy that started things with the Josh Heupel offense and showed how you could be extremely efficient. And I mean, he's the foundation of this offense. Now, a lot where this program goes and this offense goes under Josh Heupel, I think will sort of dictate how we see Hendon Hooker. If he runs off, a stretch of 5 or 6 years of really good offense and really good football, and this team gets to the playoff at some point, Hendon Hooker will be looked as the foundational quarterback that started that. If they fizzle and they go 7-5 next year and then 8-4 the next year, and it just sort of sits around where it is, he'll be looked at as a really good quarterback in the vein of Josh Dobbs and Eric Ainge and Casey Clausen, and those really good quarterbacks that followed Peyton Manning and T. Martin, the national title winner. But it really sort of matters how things go from here with this team. Hendon Hooker will be looked at as that complete package of the guy that produced on the field and was the guy that in the beginning of the NIL era is absolutely the perfect person that you would want, attached to a brand and a product and the face of a team.
So now Joe Milton steps in, and we've talked about this. I think Joe Milton is the clear favorite. We'll see how Nico does coming in. He's an early enrollee, but I think Joe Milton's the clear favorite to be the starting quarterback in his last year of eligibility next year. But this is now a little head start on that, Adam. What's your sense for Joe Milton, this opportunity for him, and also this matchup, which is suddenly a lot more interesting than I think any of us would have guessed it would be just a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I think you're right. He's probably the starter next year. I do see these two games, though, as an interesting sort of convincing stage for both sides because Tennessee thinks he's the starter next year. If he comes out and he's not great against Vanderbilt and he's not great in the bowl game, they could still look in the portal if they're not sure because you can't count on Nico being ready as a true freshman. If he plays great, then they feel good. But does anybody get in Joe Milton's ear and say, "Hey, we saw you put up 400 on Vanderbilt and 400 in the bowl game"? And you can be a late draft pick right now based on that arm and those performances. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but with these things and in the NIL era and how you're judged, so much on what your abilities are going into the draft, there's a lot of things going on here. I think that the next two games could dictate of who's looking at the other side, making sure that this marriage is going to work. I think the most likely thing is he plays pretty well. And he's the number one guy going in the spring and the bridge guy next year to get from Hooker to Nico. But you never know. A lot of things can happen in just two games, whether he plays really well or poorly.
Well, Adam, with that in mind, last thing for you here. How intrigued are you by this game coming up on Saturday? If you'd have told me 2 weeks ago that the Vanderbilt-Tennessee game could be pretty interesting, I'd have probably laughed at you, but circumstances have changed on both sides. What do you make of this matchup on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it feels a little bit like the 2016 game. Tennessee was headed to the Sugar Bowl, and Vandy upset Tennessee and, ruined that. It's the shock of this thing, I still think, is still going around Knoxville, the South Carolina loss. It really just depends on if Tennessee gets up or not. If the morale is good and Joe Milton leads this team and, they sort of get their vigor back, they can win this game by 3 touchdowns. If they come out flat and say we were a playoff team, but now we're not, and who cares about going to the Cotton Bowl or the Citrus Bowl, then Vandy is a hungry team, and that turns into a fourth quarter game. Nothing against Vandy. I think how this game goes is pretty much dictated by which Tennessee team comes out.
Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Adam, great stuff as always. Thanks for taking time to be with us this morning, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one.
You as well. Adam Sparks, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Speaking of Vanderbilt, we'll get into their big win against Florida coming up next. The first home win for Vanderbilt against Florida since 1988. That's coming up next. But first, Joe Rexrode has a word from OrderGreen.com.
If I could unmute myself, I do have a word for OrderGreen.com, nation's #1 online shop for all things cannabis and THC. Fantastic products. I am a testament to that. Really helpful physically and mentally. Inflammation. Didn't hoop yesterday, but believe me, whenever I do, OrderGreen.com is a good friend of mine. Also, family and friends who have really embraced these products. You're talking about edibles, gummies, vapes, flower, high-quality THC, CBD products, a team with extensive knowledge of those products, which means you as a customer know you're getting the highest quality from reputable providers. Also, you get nationwide same-day delivery to your doorstep. You get 25% off every shipment of gummies with a subscription. And if you use my promo code, Joe20, you get 20% off your first purchase at OrderGreen.com.
Silly Underdog Picks is back. Get your friends and sign up today at theGameNashville.com. Pick the 3 football underdog teams each week you think will win for a chance to win weekly prizes, like a pair of tickets to a sporting event or to a concert in Nashville. Oh, yeah! Go to theGameNashville.com or the Game Nashville app and sign up and play now. Then tune in every Thursday at noon for our expert picks. Silly Underdogs is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket and Superbook Sports.
Preds fans, you coming out for tonight's big game? The pre-party action is at Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville, steps away from Bridgestone Arena. Enjoy great specials like $3 off any appetizer in the bar area and $20 bucket specials on Bud Light, Mick Ultra, and Landshark beer. A sports TV viewing mecca, the Landshark Bar and Grill is a Lower Broadway must-see. That's the Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on the corner of 4th Avenue and Broadway. Stop in before the Preds game tonight.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Chris Sanders is our guest here on the program. What do you make of the fact that the Titans can have all those guys hurt on defense and still be stout against Denver last Sunday?
It's the culture, man, and I know we say this all the time. It's funny because you had Simmons and Dupree, you had Amani Hooker out. All those guys were out, but you consistently getting the same result. Last week when they went against the Broncos, that front had 6 sacks. I mean, look at the guys who got sacks last week. Walker got a sack, Weaver got a sack, Everett got a sack, Jones got a sack, Cole got a sack. So you got guys that aren't starters but still getting the same production. So now when they go to Green Bay, I'm telling you something, man. You know, everybody's talking about that the Titans have no chance to go up to Lambeau. But when you have a culture of guys that are on the same page that fight and taking the mentality of your head coach, come on, man.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. It looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say? Never miss a moment of the show. Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Anthony the Plumber on the text line says, so wait, Tennessee isn't going to the playoffs? For at least the last month, I've heard on all 3 shows was, quote, no matter what, Tennessee will be in. There's nothing that can happen now that Tennessee will be in. What happened? LOL. This is from Anthony the Plumber on the text line.
Oh, Anthony.
Here we go. I don't know if we've ever used the phrase, no matter what, Tennessee would be in. But, yeah, I did not anticipate them losing to South Carolina.
We've spent like half of some shows talking about all the different ways they may or may not get in. But other than that, you're
dead on.
Like, you're totally on point there, Anthony.
Oh, man. 615-737-1025. So all of a sudden, Joe, the Tennessee-Vanderbilt game has become very interesting on Saturday. Vanderbilt, with 2 SEC wins in a row, they take down Kentucky last week, and now they take down the Florida Gators this week at home. Their first home win against Florida since 1988. 2 consecutive SEC wins for Clark Lee and Vanderbilt. And don't look now, but they're 5-6, Joe, and with an opportunity to become bowl eligible on Saturday as they take on Tennessee. What did you make of that game for Vanderbilt? They win 31-24 against the Gators on Saturday. Some big defensive performances, huge interceptions, fumble recoveries. And Mike Wright, I'll tell you what, that guy that got his starting job taken away from him earlier this year, the numbers don't wow you. He was 10-16 throwing the ball for 108 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But I think he deserves a lot of credit for sticking in there the way that he's done it, and 2 wins in a row for Mike Wright as starting quarterback in the SEC.
Yeah, he's a great story. I mean, Mike Wright's a great story. It is very similar. It's a different kind of way, but Hendon Hooker, Mike Wright are friends. They actually roomed together last year. Peyton Manning, or I don't know, if Peyton actually did it, but they're at the Manning Academy, and they roomed together and got pretty close. And I know that they keep in touch. So someone at the Manning camp said, "Hey, let's put the Vandy and Tennessee guys together."
Yeah.
And it's Hendon Hooker comes in. He comes in. Well, I don't know. It's still interesting to me. It's like I want to go run that Jeremy Pruitt offense, but he came in. He got a chance to go to a Power 5 school, and possibly be the starting quarterback. And then there's a firing, and a new quarterback is recruited over him, and he loses the job, and he hangs in there. And all those coaches talk about what he did, just in terms of supporting Milton and being a great teammate and just going about his business, doing whatever he could do. That's very difficult. That's very, I don't know if it's rare, but it's a lot more rare than it used to be, right? There's a whole lot of things don't go my way. Well, all right, give me that portal. Let me jump on in, and I'm out of here. And so you look at Mike Wright, and look, I don't know. I mean, with A.J. Swan emerging, he got hurt. Mike Wright has taken advantage of the opportunity, but so who knows? Mike Wright may go be somewhere else next year, and it may be the right move. But he's hung in this year. He's continued to be a teammate. He's the emotional leader of the team, and that's really tough when the emotional leader of the team loses the most important job on the field. But he hung in there and stayed a part of the team and stayed leading. And now look at him. I mean, he's delivered these two massive program. These wins are huge. 26-game losing streak. Amazing. You go get that done at Kentucky, a program that you model yourself after, right? And then to beat Florida, as you said, first time at home since '88, they had done it. I know that one of Franklin's teams blew out Florida on the road, I think 9 years ago, but that's big. I mean, it's a major deal. It actually makes me ask this question, let's compare these two rebuilding jobs right now. I mean, I think you could say with Heupel, and first of all, I think with Heupel and Lee, I think they're both ahead of schedule. I think you could compare them too. I mean, certainly it's a lot easier to say that, like, if Vanderbilt actually gets to a bowl game in year two, but Vanderbilt getting to a bowl game, considering what he inherited in year two, I mean, it's not as impressive as like if Tennessee had gone to the playoff this year. Of course not. But it's a different. I mean, he inherited a barren roster, and it's actually pretty amazing how much better they've gotten as a football team in this second season.
Well, it is, and it's amazing to me, really, Joe, in the last 2 weeks, how much better their defense has gotten. I mean, their defense has played really well. Now, I realize that they gave up 400 yards passing to Anthony Richardson on Saturday, but like I said, a big interception, a couple of forced fumbles in the game that you take advantage of there. And, I think back to literally 3 weeks ago, Joe. I remember looking on my timeline, and some of my Vanderbilt fans were in a screaming match with each other about firing the defensive coordinator. And now you talk about the last 2 games in the SEC, they've defended really well. I mean, you hold Florida to 24 points in that game. You're opportunistic. You end up winning by a touchdown. And they were up, 28-12 at one point in that game, and then Florida made it closer toward the end. But I just think the transformation of the defense the last 2 weeks is maybe the most intriguing part about what they've been able to get done.
Yeah, it's been really surprising. And look, I mostly agree with what Sparks said there. I mean, Tennessee comes out full force and I guess angry after that South Carolina loss. And executes, this. I mean, look, Vanderbilt still has major issues, in terms of being talented enough on the defensive side of the ball. They're not. They have some really good players. Orgy's a tremendous player. They've got some good players over there, but they don't have enough. And an offense like Tennessee's offense could absolutely have a big day against Vanderbilt's secondary still. But yeah, they've found a way to make key plays and be good in the red zone, and just really that was, if you go back through this whole season, they've had a pretty good offensive year. Ray Davis, a good running back. They got good skill at receiver. Both of the quarterbacks have had good days. And so I think that offensively they can come out and compete in this game and score points. But yeah, that defense was at times just well, at times it looked about like Tennessee did at times Saturday against South Carolina, and obviously they've flipped that around.
Well, look, if Tennessee's defense plays anywhere close to the way they played Saturday against South Carolina, Vanderbilt's going to have an excellent chance to win this game. There's no question about that. Now, is Tennessee going to play that bad again? I don't know. It'd be pretty tough for them to approach what we saw on Saturday. But, yeah, I mean, I think if you're Vanderbilt looking at this matchup right now, you're thinking, yep, we can score some points on this Tennessee defense. Chris on the text line says, a long snapper touchdown, Robbie. Give the long snapper some airtime. That was incredible on Saturday. You don't see that happen very often, Joe Rexrode.
No, you do not. No, that's very exciting stuff right there. Yeah, look, I mean, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the William from Madison also brought up I hope you'll discuss the referees giving an extra play to Florida to try to score at the end of the game. Did you see that? It was, first off, there's 2 seconds left. The Florida receiver catches the ball in bounds and rolls out, and they stop the clock. He's 2 yards short of the first down, and the clock stops, which I was watching the game looking around like, what are they doing? Why is the clock stopped here? And then I'm pretty sure the clock hit 0 before Anthony Richardson even snapped the ball. So that was 2 chances that Florida had to score on the last play that they definitely shouldn't have had, and luckily it didn't matter because Anthony Richardson threw it like 12 yards out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah, and the Vanderbilt fans, the conspiracy theorists who were like, well, again, let me show you. Here's another example. It's funny. I feel like it happened against Florida, too. I was told that a ref one time years ago in a game against Florida made a horrible call at Vanderbilt's expense. And I was told that he said to the sideline, he said to like one of their trainers, like, come on, I mean, it's Florida. Like, come on, it's the SEC. I mean, now, do I believe that? I don't know. I'm
that would be bold.
But yes. That would be bold. By the way, I wrote a column about Tennessee Vanderbilt at The Athletic, and the first comment, you ready for this?
Sure.
From Chris K. Quote, my goodness, I can't imagine how hard Vandy Joe is going to be cheering for his team on Saturday. Yes.
This was one of my favorite weeks of the year. You're going to get it from both sides, and I am 100% here for it.
Matt, I should just go ahead and just paint orange on one half of the face and then gold and black over here, and
get you a nice house divided license plate with Vanderbilt and Tennessee on both sides. Good stuff.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Hey, look, the fact that it's obviously for Tennessee fans right now. Yeah, it's tough because you were right there, and now you just have to keep hearing about all this playoff stuff when you know that there's no relevance at all to you. But for this game at large, the fact that it looks interesting going in, I certainly did not anticipate that, and I'm here for the game.
Yep.
I'm here for it.
No question about it. Coming up next, we'll get into the latest with the Todd Downing situation and the Titans. Welcome more of your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Make sure you tune in later this morning at 8:45 for your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click and win a pair of tickets to a future Preds home game. Pick to Click brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they're referred to so often. And Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi, and this is Nashville.
Going to the front of the net, he scores. What a gorgeous move. Roman Yossi.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for their e-club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Just visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/peaks-club to get started today.
Signs First, Nashville's trusted vehicle wrap and graphics one-stop shop. From one-off custom applications to entire company fleets, Signs First delivers superior quality both locally and nationally since 1991. Be creative. Get noticed. Signs First. Go to sfnash.com.
Hey, it's Jared. Are you looking to move? If so, do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends at TriStar Moving. You can be assured your move will be stress-free because they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-value or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture, and their movers are carefully picked and highly trained. No one in the game is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. When you're ready to move, give them a call. TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or online at nashvillemoving.org/radio, and tell them Jared Stillman referred you for 10% off. That's TriStar Moving. Hiller is giving away cash for the holidays, and we are celebrating from now until the end of the year with special deals. Hiller wants to make sure every child experiences the joy of Christmas this year, so they're donating $50 in toys to Toys for Tots with every tankless water heater purchase, and giving away a $250 Visa gift card with each unit. Get a $500 Visa gift card when you buy select new HVAC systems, or a $500 Visa gift card with the purchase of any new whole home generator. More details at happyhiller.com. As always, happy you'll be, or the service is free, and these deals are only available until the end of the year. So that's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Don't miss See Better, Drive Safer month at O'Reilly Auto Parts with great deals on wiper blades, headlight bulbs, and more. Right now, get up to a $20 gift card after a mail-in rebate with the purchase of select Sylvania bulbs. Plus, get double O Rewards points with your purchase. Prepare for the weather ahead during See Better, Drive Safer month at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is John Hines, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knazovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We'll have Corey Curtis from News 2 coming up at 8 o'clock. We'll discuss the latest on the Todd Downing situation with him. We'll get into some games yesterday in the NFL and look ahead to the Titans and the Bengals coming up on Sunday. All that ahead. Right now, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. So, Joe, the Todd Downing situation unfolded as we were live on the air on Friday with news coming out that he had been arrested and charged with DUI. Mike Vrabel spoke on Friday morning about the situation, and some more details will come out in the aftermath since then, including a report from Daniel Smithson from WSMV. And there's several things that have gone on here, but I'll just read a little snippet of the piece from WSMV. Quote, Downing was pulled over at about 2:30 a.m. on Cool Springs Boulevard after being followed by a Tennessee Highway Patrol trooper who spotted him speeding. It was estimated he was going between 95 and 100 miles per hour, but he was officially paced at 50 miles per hour in a 40-mile-per-hour zone while being followed. The trooper said during the traffic stop he immediately smelled alcohol coming from Downing, who had red eyes and slow, slurred speech, according to the affidavit. Downing admitted to the trooper he had beer before driving, THP said. The trooper reported Downing said he was trying to get home to his family because he had, quote, been receiving death threats, end quote. The trooper said he observed Downing swaying as he got out of his vehicle. So that was a report from WSMV over the weekend. So, Joe, given Mike Vrabel's comments on the matter, the NFL has also said they're looking into, whether or not the Titans had alcohol on the plane and what that looks like. What do you make of the latest information on the Todd Downing situation unfolding right now with the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, well, I guess when you first of all, the death threat thing, that'd be weird after the win. That's the crazy thing is like this is after like I'd say we probably would all agree that was like Todd Downing's best night as OC or one of them this year.
It was the best this year. It may have been the best in general, but yeah.
Yeah. Now look, I don't want to be dismissive of that as a thing. I mean, unfortunately, in sports, if you have a high profile job and you don't always have success, sometimes you can get crazy people on the internet who say things. I mean, is that relevant to that situation? Kind of a tough sell, right? It's I guess it's better than hey, do you know who I am? Or like the Jeremy Pruitt, whatever the heck he said to the police officer a couple years ago. Was that Jeremy Banks, by the way?
I think so.
I think that was a Jeremy, but so there's that aspect of it, and then there's the NFL at large aspect of it, which is interesting. There was another. So Mike Jones wrote a column at The Athletic about this and how the NFL should be strong here. Now there is no alcohol allowed. There was also recently like a video or a picture of Taylor Heineke for the Commanders having a beer on a plane.
Yeah.
If you ask me if I think there's probably some alcohol on some of these planes coming home, I'd imagine there probably is some, even though there's not supposed to be. So, Vrabel got asked that specific question and was like, yeah, I'm not going to answer that question at all. But, if obviously, like if Downing basically was like landed and then got in the car, which is what it sounds like there wasn't too much time for him to like go somewhere in between, then it's kind of obvious what happened, right?
Yeah. Now, like you said, the NFL is looking into this. It is strange to me that there's a picture and a video out there of Taylor Heineke on the team plane, throwing down a Busch Light from last week. So nobody said anything about that, and then all of a sudden we're looking into this. I mean, I understand why you're looking into this, but like to me, it's either against the rules or it's not. Like, why are we picking and choosing here?
Yeah, sure. No doubt. I mean, the Heineke thing comes up because of the Downing thing, right? So it's a rule, and I'm sure it's a rule that's widely broken. But when someone does something completely idiotic, like drives under the influence, then it does deserve to be looked at again and talked about. I mean, again, this is one of those unwritten rules that if people just do the smart, safe thing and take free rides that are provided to them, then it probably doesn't mean a thing, right? Like no one cares. But you get into one situation like this, which could be dangerous, which could be fatal, then I think it does deserve a stronger look. Can the NFL actually like enforce that? I mean, that's a good question too. But I think that some kind of a statement, which would be at the expense of Downing here, I mean, I think you can make a case for that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they proceed on that.
It is. I'm interested to see what happens with it, now in the short term when them coming back into the building this week. And, PK, Paul Koharski had this tweet over the weekend too, said no league discipline is imminent for Todd Downing. NFL waits for the case to be resolved in such circumstances. So, number one, I'm interested to see how long them looking into the plane stuff happens, but then there's the legal process that plays out too. Like what happens from the Titans standpoint with Todd Downing as they move forward this week, preparing for Cincinnati. I don't know, but I'm interested to see how the Titans handle that.
Well, the fact that they haven't done anything yet would tell me that he's just going to do his job. So that's the thing. I mean, I think that this is when you talk about the legal process, you can push that to the point where there's, basically a plea bargain in like January or February, or something like that. And that's probably what will happen. But at some point, if that's how the NFL proceeds, okay, well, you be consistent. You should be consistent. But at some point, when you get to the end of that legal road, then I do think the NFL, again, when you have the mandated 3-game suspensions for players, it's mind-boggling to me that someone in their 40s who also represents the league, has a high-profile position in the league, would not be held to at least the same standard.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think that absolutely could happen. If you're I do wonder, like, if you're the Titans, I understand you want to wait for the legal process to play out, but what's that going to be like in the room? Vrabel talked about it on Friday. Something he's definitely going to have to address. I mean, obviously they left and kind of went their separate ways for the weekend. The players weren't in there over the weekend, so they're going to have to address this coming back. I do wonder what sort of a distraction this turns into team-wise heading into this week.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's possible for sure. I mean, I think it's a very least it's an awkward situation, but I'm sure Vrabel will address it and they'll move forward. I mean, I think that I'm just expecting Todd Downing to keep doing his job right now, be the Titans OC. I mean, I think the bigger I will be surprised if there's like some adverse effect on the team's preparation this week or performance Sunday. Look, a person made a mistake, and I think they'll move forward internally fine. I think the bigger questions are, one, the NFL, how it handles this, if it is going to try to make a statement, if it's going to try to crack down on the alcohol on the planes, but in particular, is going to make a statement about driving under the influence, which is, I think, absolutely always a good idea. And then also, how does this affect Todd Downing at large? I mean, look, this is a guy who, I know this offense hasn't been very good this year, but he's been thrown around as a head coaching candidate. In fact, in that Pelissero thing last week, he was one of the people they talked about. How much does this hurt him? I would have to think it would hurt him some.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. And, Joe, there are different people around the league asking versions of this question that Glenn has on the text line. It says, did Vrabel not see Downing when he got off the plane? If he did, you think he knew that he had too much to drink? And I've seen, different versions of that question thrown out there. I did an interview in Wisconsin over the weekend where they basically asked me the same thing of, like, if you're a member of the Titans, did somebody not see him? And how was he allowed to get into the car? I'm not trying to absolve Todd Downing of personal responsibility for making the decision to get in the car. First and foremost, that's where that lies with me. But, I mean, I do think that's a fair question to bring up out there.
Absolutely, it's a fair question. We know of Todd Downing getting pulled over and apparently going at very high speeds also. And now facing this situation, is he the only person who was drinking alcohol? Did no one else notice what was going on? That's absolutely fair. And this, internally for the Titans, I mean, and the NFL, you got to nail this down. Like, okay, so who was involved in this, and why did no one say, Todd, get a lift? Or was there anyone else who should have gotten a lift? Maybe people did. I don't know. But it's absolutely a fair thing to bring up. Like, how did this come about? He wasn't doing this in a bubble, I assume, right? Was he going into the bathroom and sneaking beers? Probably not.
I would say probably not. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll have more on Todd Downing and the Titans coming up at 8 o'clock when we're joined by Corey Curtis from News 2. Coming up next, it's time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45. But first, Michelle Knezvik has a word from Superbook Sportsbook.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Robby. We have got so much going on right now. But listen, the World Cup begins today. The U.S. plays at 1 p.m. We've got two Nashville SC guys who are going to be representing the U.S. in Qatar. You could put the odds are 150 on plus 150 on the money line for the U.S. on Superbook Sportsbook. Also got a little Monday Night Football action tonight. The line has already moved up for 9-point favorites for the 49ers. It was 7.5 this morning. Listen, I think 9 is a little bit too big, so I'm going to take the Cardinals plus the 9, but on the money line, I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers. Whether it's football, basketball, hockey, like I said, the World Cup kicking off, there is no better place to wager on all of that than Superbook Sports. When you sign up, deposit, and wager all on the same day, Superbook will give you a bonus up to $1,000. When the sports world is busy, it is busy to get time winning some money, so download the Superbook Sportsbook app or visit superbook.com to wager and win today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's Black Friday weekend, and Genesis Diamonds is giving away free Yetis, free pizza ovens, free always pans, and free smart TVs. When you buy any piece of jewelry at Genesis this weekend, you'll get one of the year's coolest holiday gifts, absolutely free. Stock the tree with something for everyone this year. Spend just $299 or more on a piece of jewelry, and Genesis gives you a free rechargeable hand warmer or shiatsu massager. Spend $500 and you'll get an Ember Smart Mug, or spend at least $1,000 at Genesis this weekend, and you'll get a free mini projector or big horn pizza oven. So you can get her that beautiful ring or pair of earrings for Christmas and get one of the year's hottest gifts at no extra charge. How about a Yeti Tundra when you spend at least $1,800 this weekend? Or listen to this, spend $3,500 on a piece of jewelry and choose between a 55-inch 4K TV and a Dyson Airwrap. Yours free. Don't miss the Black Friday event. This Friday through Cyber Monday, only at Genesis Diamonds. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Tune in to ESPN 102.5 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman & Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
Tools of the Game brought to you by Northern Tool and Equipment, the problem solver's paradise. This Black Friday, get the perfect gift for every solver on your list from names like Honda, Milwaukee, and Lincoln Electric. Northern Tool and Equipment, made for gift giving.
Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Jane doesn't mind an apartment with no elevator.
5 flights of stairs is 5 plates of cardio.
Bob is a little less enthusiastic about stairs.
I hate stairs.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle renters and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they could save even more. In the end, Jane and Bob found an apartment that's a 4-story walk-up. And Bob?
Yeah, there's a freight elevator she doesn't know about.
What were you talking about?
Oh, nothing.
Bundling without compromise at geico.com.
Chase McCabe.
Competition in all positions.
Willie Donick.
You know what? I went on the radio and I tried.
And Derek Mason.
The man that sleeps on the floor never falls out to bed.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app. The time is now for the Rex Rant.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
On Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Rolling down the street in a Hyundai Tucson. Wonder why you married a tool? Laid back with your mind on your hubby and your hubby on your nerves. Rolling down the street in a Nissan Sentra. How come you always have to pick up the food? So whack.
Oh, it is that time of the day. Time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode here on Robby and Rexrode. You can check it out each morning at 7:45 here on the program. And I think what I've learned is we need a little bit more of Rexrode singing and or rapping on the program.
Much
hear
more.
From a source that maybe there's one in the works, but we'll have to see. Let's see how that goes. Joe Rexrode, I turn things over to you.
Yeah, well, I had the lyrics largely written in the laptop that was stolen. So,
oh boy.
So yes, there's been a bit of a setback, but you know, I got one cooking. So,
all right.
And but I look, that's fine. I've got one cooking. Michelle, you got to stop making me listen to myself. It is painful.
I love the song. Robby just saw me jamming, rolling down the street in a Hyundai. I love that. I sing it around the house sometimes. Not gonna lie, Joe.
Why would you not?
That's fine. That's fine. I just don't want to hear it. Like it's already bad enough to hear my voice, but when I do that, my goodness, it's tough. Very tough. But it's good. It gets me fired up. So first of all, let me before I get to my main point today, let me go back on the Downing thing.
Okay.
Unnamed texter here says, that's not a fair question. Todd Downing is a grown-ass man. Vrabel should not be looked at any type of way because Todd decided to get in his car after drinking. Do you realize how many personnel are on that plane, from coaches to players to assistants? Here's what I wrote back. I'll just read what I wrote back. It's not just Vrabel, it's anyone else who was around. You're right. Maybe Vrabel wasn't close to him, but someone had to be, right? Like, no one noticed he had been drinking. I mean, I agree, primary responsibility is on Downing. Of course. Primary responsibility is on Downing. But there's the slogan, quote, friends don't let friends drive drunk, because it often takes someone who hasn't been to prevent situations like this. That happens all the time. So I didn't think it is fair to ask, like, did no one else notice this or engage in this or anything? I mean, that's a question that I promise you is being asked, in investigations of this situation, because you got to figure out exactly all that happened here. We know where primary responsibility is, but you still have to. Yeah, I mean, so you're right, though, that Vrabel in particular, Vrabel may have been nowhere near him and got in his car, but someone, like, there are other humans around him. I'm going to go ahead and assume that. So there's that. Today, I just want to talk about something. I've been in East Lansing, taking the oldest home for Thanksgiving here soon, and so this is. I may not even feel strongest about this among people on our show, but I do want to add my voice to this.
Okay.
Because as I drive around this town, as I go into stores, it really is amazing. Like, it's not Christmas season yet, folks. And I was driving by, actually. Like driving by like fraternity and sorority row around here, and it's like all these decorations are going up. I think what we need to do, because Thanksgiving is, I believe, a tremendous holiday.
Oh, yeah.
Like on many fronts, and it really does. It gets lost, and I feel like Black Friday should be a holiday. Look, first of all, I mean, for me, that's like the one day I know for sure I will go nowhere near a store ever. Okay, that's me. Some people, they're there at 5 a.m. Good, do whatever you want to do. But to me, that should be like Christmas music and decorations holiday of the country. Okay, would that be fair? Like if you save it until Friday. But there's a total moratorium on that until Friday. And then on Friday, boom, at every elf you've got or whatever you do, put your Rudolph nose on. I don't care. But you should be legally required to not do that until Friday. And
I agree.
I think that Thanksgiving would get its fair due. I mean, Thanksgiving decorations are a little different, like gourds. You put like a nice gourd on your table or something.
Or just like fall leaves.
Some browns. Yeah, some nice browns and maroons, and and then just and focus on giving thanks, and have that be this week. That's what this week is, because right now it is all on fuel. And again, it's before this.
Well, it gets earlier every year.
It's already. Yeah, I mean but it's been for weeks at some places. I mean, at a certain coffee place not far from us, there are many locations of this place. It was just like, dude, no, you guys cannot be jamming this music yet.
That's right.
I mean, it's like November 1st. You can't. Halloween ending does not start the Christmas season. Thanksgiving ending does, and I think it's going to take all of us to work together to make this a better world for Thanksgiving.
Well, how ironic is it, Joe, that maybe not enough attention, maybe not enough thanks for Thanksgiving out there. We're celebrating being thankful this week, and seems like it's overlooked a little bit out there. Maybe a commentary on maybe some problems we got out there in society. What do we think? We may be on to a deep discovery here.
That's a good point. Yeah. No, I mean, we really want to drill deep on this. There's a lot of ways that could go.
What do we think of, like, so I've noticed this since moving into the new house. Up in Robertson County, there are some folks that have Christmas lights up year-round. They don't necessarily turn them on year-round, but they've got them up year-round, which part of me understands. Like, once you put them up once, you're like, yeah, I really don't feel like getting back out there and doing it again. So I get that part of it. But there are some people that are, like, really upset about that. Like, I've talked to some friends of mine that are like, it's August. Why are there Christmas lights up on their house? Get up there and take it down. What's going on over there? I don't know if I'm that much of a Grinch about this whole thing, but there are people that sometimes some people even turn them on year-round, like on their porch.
I'm not the right person to ask about this, because honestly, like, if I had my way, we would just probably keep them up all year. But if I had my way, we'd probably have like every type of like holiday stuff up, and just sort of like, okay, just push that to the side, bring this forward, never put it away or take it out or set it up. Like, that'd be my approach. So I can't judge on that at all. Just don't turn them on as much, except during the holiday season.
Well, I will say there are these new things, which could be what Robby is talking about, that my mom is very interested in, and they're permanent lights, but you can change them different colors. So she's like, oh, wow. For the 4th of July, we could have like red and blue and white.
I've not heard of this.
So essentially, it's like you have them all year long. Technically, yes, they're Christmas lights. They look like Christmas lights, but you can change the color. So she was like, well, I could do orange for Halloween. So I kind of like that idea. I do like it. But I agree. I just feel like
that's kind of good.
That's not bad.
I feel like when the lights, though, they're just so Christmassy, Yeah.
JC in Goatsville on the text line says, so Joe turns from the Grinch on Black Friday. Nashville will be Whoville, with everyone coming out and decorating. It may be. That's what he's looking for.
Yes, exactly. See, wouldn't that be fun? By the way, on my own text line, Chris from Nolensville, every Christmas light that goes up before Thanksgiving, Santa shoots a reindeer.
Jeez.
Mark, that might change some minds.
It might have to. Mark from Ashland City on the text line says, hard disagree. I give Thanksgiving its due, but Christmas decor is 100% part of Thanksgiving for me. Also, is there even Thanksgiving music? This is from Mark from Ashland City. There is not a plethora of Thanksgiving music to choose from. That is true.
That's a good point. There should be a genre, created to be. I mean, I'll play Sandler's turkey song or whatever over and over again on loop if you want. I mean, and I think in his song he already said like there's no Thanksgiving song. Yeah. Why not? So that's a good point. We need. Why can't there be? You tell me any of these artists out here, we can't get some compilation album of Thanksgiving music?
Taylor Swift. Come on, girl.
Yeah. She's not busy. That's a great point. If we had more Thanksgiving stuff, then maybe we'd spend more time on it and not fast forward, right?
Maybe so. This has been the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45. If you're on the fence, make sure you hold your decorations back before Friday, or it will upset Rexrode and I greatly. 615-737.
Taking it down.
1025. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Corey Curtis from News 2. We'll get his thoughts on the Tennessee Titans and the weekend of action in the NFL as well. That's next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game.
You love the game.
The door's on the board. Right, Ray sounds well.
We live the game.
Going up against that defense, he can make some plays and take that next step.
We got
pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome game 7.
What a stop made by Houston Sarah.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 $1,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Craneworks, the Southeast leader for crane and equipment rental, is looking for the best in the business to fill positions as qualified operators, truck drivers, and mechanics. Craneworks provides superior customer service and a superior work environment. Start lifting Nashville to new heights and apply today at craneworks.com/careers. That's craneworks.com/careers.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
312 Pizza Company is home to Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball. We got pass rushers.
Awesome game set.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Hour number 3, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode. Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And as we do every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Corey Curtis from News 2. Corey, good morning. How we doing?
Good morning. It is time for appointment programming. Let's go.
It is time for appointment programming. There's zero question about it. So, Corey, we were just discussing the Todd Downing situation, obviously arrested for the DUI. The NFL looking into alcohol on the plane with the Titans and looking into that league-wide. And you have Todd Downing, reportedly going anywhere between 95 and 100 miles an hour, the estimated speed. He was clocked at 50 in the 40. What do you make of this situation in terms of what the NFL and where the Titans go from here as this continues to unfold?
It's interesting because I asked Vrabel to clarify the league protocol, and he kind of skirted around it. So I don't know what the exact league protocol is, and I don't know if that's came out. I was away for the weekend. I know the players have collectively bargained. It's like a 3-game suspension. And so, you run the risk of saying, you could say, well, that's what they collectively bargained. But then you're also saying if you don't suspend him, coaches don't have the same aren't held to the same responsibility level as players. So I think they get put in a bind from that situation. And also I think other people look at DUI differently. I mean, look, he could have killed somebody. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And that's why it's against the law. I mean, because it's really dangerous. And, for a long time, Joe, you're closer to my age, for a long time people say, oh, it's just a DUI, and you move on. Well, I don't think people view it as just a DUI anymore because, lives, thousands of lives are affected by it, some more horribly than others. And so, it's disappointing. I mean, it's disappointing because we know they have a rideshare service. And, the reports of going 100 miles an hour or close to it are also, add another layer to it. I mean, so I don't know how they're going to handle it. I don't know truly what the relationship is between Downing and Vrabel and Downing and Robinson and the organization and how the organization is going to come down on it.
Yeah, well, and first of all, you're absolutely right, Corey. I think just think about the Britt Reed situation. You talk about permanently affecting a family, and then Henry Ruggs, killing a woman and her dog. I mean, so we've had situations.
I mean,
yeah, and we've had situations where the worst did happen, and so it's just like you said, like it's utterly, disappointing to say the least. That anyone would make that decision. We have been talking some, Corey, about the question of, okay, so Todd Downing did this. They get off the plane. He gets in his car. We know what happened. What about, the other people who were around him? Did no one notice? I mean, all those are, I think, fair questions too. And also then what might be the result? Because frankly, I know, the Taylor Heineke having a beer in a plane thing comes out, and it, again, I don't think anyone cares. But now this situation happens. So do you think that there may be some NFL-wide changes out of this too?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we all know that, there's no alcohol allowed on the planes, and it kind of comes with a wink of an eye, right? But I think the NFL is basically saying we're making this rule. They would never agree with this, but you make that rule to cover your back. It's not our responsibility. There's no alcohol allowed on the planes, and everybody does it. And I say that broadly, and I probably shouldn't, but pretty good idea that most everybody has some. I don't think it's anything near what it used to be because it used to be a lot different. I can say with certainty. But, that's one of the questions I've got is, how much of it was going on, because you could say, well, and I've wondered as well, did no one else see him? And, a guy has a beer, okay? Did he drink that beer over 10 minutes or did he drink it over 40 minutes? That's the question, and who's keeping track of it? Or you're like, there's one coach going, yeah, man, Todd was pounding away in there. We should probably get him a ride. Or, you don't know if he had one or if he had three. You know what I'm saying? So I think that there's responsibility there, but I can understand where there may not be there may not be a true accounting for how much, because I think there have been plenty of people who've blown 0.8 who didn't know they were at 0.8, because I don't think it takes as much to get there as people think.
Corey Curtis from News 2 with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So Corey, the Todd Downing story aside, he actually, I thought, probably had his best night of the season calling the game against the Packers on Thursday, and now you have all this to deal with if you're the Titans. But on the field, as they prepare for Cincinnati, What did you make of the offensive performance against Green Bay and what that could mean for this group as they move forward here?
Well, listen, and I'm not diminishing Todd Downing's game in that game at all because they had a really good game. He had a really good game. But I say this about every offensive coordinator, and I said it about Todd Downing weeks ago when they were struggling. When your offensive line blocks, the offensive coordinator looks a lot better. All right? Ryan Tannehill threw it, was it 33 or 36 times? And he doesn't make that opening 41-yard toss, 43-yard toss to Treylon Burks without the time to sit back there in the pocket and deliver the football. And so, those guys have been playing together for half a season now, and it's not great, but it's starting to come together a little bit, enough for them to throw for 600 yards against two of the top 5 pass defenses in the league. It's easier to call plays when you don't have 3 defensive linemen 3 yards deep 1 second into the snap. And so that has a ton to do with it. I think that, getting back dudes helps, and Ryan Tannehill and Treylon Burks certainly qualifies in that category. And, when the quarterback plays really well, and that's about as well as I've seen Tannehill play, that also makes everybody look, really, really good. And so, you call plays, and when players execute them, you look smart, all right? I mean, that's just kind of the way it goes. And so I think that, I think a lot of that gets lost on this when they're struggling and when they're not struggling, when they're playing well, is, a lot of it comes down to dudes, and a lot of it comes down to the guys up front because they set the tone. And, how many things have we heard about Dennis Daly and, Aaron Brewer's undersized and Dylan Radins has been a bust and blah, 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 blah. Well, those guys did pretty good on Thursday night. And so they did pretty good. Todd Downing did pretty good. It goes hand in hand.
Well, I agree, Corey, absolutely. To quote Mike Vrabel, it's players, not plays. Now, of course, it is both, but
yes,
but no question about it. Yeah, and I think we can all agree that Treylon Burks, that was a hugely needed and encouraging performance that they need to build on. He needs to build on. But what about that offensive line? Do you feel like possibly moving forward long term, we could be talking about Brewer at center, Radins at left guard? Is that a crazy thing to consider?
No, I don't think that's a crazy thing at all because we have viewed Aaron Brewer as the eventual replacement for Ben Jones for years now. I mean, because he's been here for a few years, and we've been pleasantly surprised, I should say, that Ben Jones continues to last. And I say that because he's not a young player, and he continues to fight through every banged-up injury that comes his way. And that I think one of the really hugely underrated parts of that performance the other night is they did not have one mistake between the center and quarterback exchange.
Yeah.
And that, going into that one, that's one of your biggest concerns. And you can be a little smaller at center generally. And you also generally need a guy who's kind of athletic at that spot, which really fits Brewer well. And, I think that has to go down. I don't look at the all-22 like Teron and some of the other guys do all the time. That has to go down as one of Brewer's better games. I mean, he got it done up front against a Pro Bowl caliber player in Kenny Clark. It was one of the big matchups we were looking at going into the game. And, if Radins, who is now 4-0 as a starter, by the way.
Yeah, he is.
Can continue, look, they have put him out there, and when they went to Tampa for that preseason game, he embarrassed himself. I mean, he just got run. But in these games, he hasn't embarrassed himself, and they've won. And so, if he can become a starting guard, even if it's in year 3 or year 4 for them, whatever, it saves that draft pick. It really, really does.
Corey, last thing for you, how encouraging was that game on the Treylon Burks front as to what that could mean for him moving forward?
Well, no, look, we've all thought he had potential. We all thought he has ability. And, getting the chance to show it is huge. I mean, 2 deep shots, The second one's really a contested catch, and he makes both plays. He had an opportunity to make two real big plays, and he made them both. The other thing, like I said, is the quarterback had time to throw a 40-yard pass twice. That's got a lot to do with it. And when he doesn't have time with it, you can't have those throws to Treylon Burks. But that's showing he can make those plays that you drafted him to make. And it's not just encouraging for Treylon Burks, because it can open up so many things underneath that and make Robert Woods a better player, increase Austin Hooper's numbers, who, by the way, has become a legitimate part of this offense now, and is making meaningful plays for this football team. But to get him a 100-yard game, because we're halfway in, and you don't have to be great at the beginning of the year. You don't have to be great in the middle of the year, like we saw in 2019. You got to be great at the end of the year. All right, and so if they can continue trending in that direction, like I said, the offensive line is getting better. Treylon Burks getting better. Ryan Tannehill getting better. They can be dangerous in the playoffs. They don't have to score 30 points a game with that defense if the defense can be healthy. They only got to score 24, 25. I mean, if they can do that, they are going to be a really, really tough out. So I think those things are all encouraging. And I think one of the things that we didn't bring up about Treylon Burks that we probably should have, because there were so many questions about his conditioning and his health this summer, is he came back from that being off for over a month from that injury, and his conditioning and his health and preparedness to play have not been in question at all. He looks as good as when he walked off the field.
Corey Curtis from News 2, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Corey, you lived up to the billing for appointment listening. We appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
All right, we'll all celebrate another clean sweep for the Bears and Packers, Nick.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be great. Really looking forward to it.
Just getting excited for some Lions football Thursday, Corey.
3 in a row for the Lions.
3 in a row. 3 in a row. Yeah. I mean, how many 40-ounce coffees did Dan have today?
Maybe worrisome, because it's a short week. He's got to stay up late and prepare, too. A lot of coffees this week for Dan Campbell.
Oh, yeah. Right up his alley.
Appreciate you, Corey.
Right. Later, guys.
Corey Curtis from News 2, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. More on that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3, The Game.
The Sports Talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
Have they truly been tested yet?
I really want this to be a good game.
Michelle and Junie, every Saturday morning at 9. Presented by Superbook Sports and the Nashville Jam Company.
I think Junie and I are going to go hit breakfast/brunch there after the show.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville. TJ Anderson here. With real estate listings, you have to read between the lines. Like, cozy means super small. Great bones means money pit. And motivated sellers? Well, that means the honeymoon is probably over for them. My team at TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty is ready to help both home buyers and sellers decode the market. Oh, and if the house needs a little TLC, you should probably pack your hazmat suit. Google TJ Anderson Homes, read our reviews, and see why we are referred for a reason. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, 615-432-2919.
Don't wait! Get Black Friday pricing all week long at Electronic Express. Hurry into our convenient locations for the hottest gifts like 4K TVs, computers, tablets, smart home, appliances, and more. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 48 months free financing. Electronic Express has all of your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Whirlpool, Sony, Apple, and more. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Stores open early this Friday at 5 a.m. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
If you own a house, you've got a huge asset, and everyone's looking at it. With Wall Street investors buying up homes in Nashville and renting them out like never before, you have to wonder, what do they see in your big asset that you don't? If you sell your home instead of renting it, you can kiss your asset goodbye. The best way to save your asset is to rent it out. Go to renterswarehouse.com to book your free home rental price analysis or call 615-398-9550. Renters Warehouse. You can't buy happiness, but you can rent it.
Hey, it's Hutton. Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off, or get 18 months of no payments. So the first payment is not until spring of 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
Football season is underway, so now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just sign up with promo code PLAY. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. So sign up today with promo code PLAY for your no-sweat first bet. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, and Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP Louisiana. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
It's on. It's happening.
Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way, I'm watching a game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Tune in for the NFL pregame this Sunday live from Sonny's Patio Pub and Refuge located at 1322 6th Avenue North in Germantown. Join Jared Stillman and former Titans wide receivers Chris Sanders and Derek Mason from 9:30 to 11:30 prior to the Titans taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. The NFL pregame brought to you by TriStar Moving, Parma Tractor and Equipment, Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, Superbook Sports, and Ounce of Hope Cannabis Company. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Monday morning. Thanks to Corey Curtis for joining us in the last segment. We'll be joined by Max Hers coming up at 9 o'clock. We'll look ahead to the Preds and the Arizona Coyotes coming up tonight at Bridgestone Arena. Preds on a 4-game point streak, so looking forward to talking with Max about that. Joe, busy day yesterday in the NFL. The Titans, with their win on Thursday Night Football, they improved to 7-3. So obviously they did not play yesterday, but it was a good day for the Titans yesterday in the AFC South. The Colts fall to the Eagles 17-16. So the Colts now at 4-6-1 on the season. So you've got a significant lead on the Colts at this point, who are still in second place in the AFC South. They fall yesterday to the Eagles. It looked like Jeff Saturday maybe taking that team to 2-0 under his tenure. But the Eagles come back. They win that game 17-16. And right now, Joe, like if you're the Titans, you're feeling great about it. I don't guess totally willing to say that it's over in the AFC South, but actually, you know what? Yes, I am. It's over in the AFC South, and it looks like the Titans are basically playing for seeding right now in the AFC.
Yes. By the way, I unmuted myself before I got the
You did.
yes out.
Didn't count.
So I do hope that I would hope that we can put one thing to bed here.
Okay.
Like the Colts are not trying to tank. Can we all agree on this? Like Jeff Saturday, the Colts players, like I have no idea what Jim Irsay is thinking, okay? I do think that he wants Jeff Saturday to demonstrate why this is a brilliant coaching decision and hire. And that you do that by winning. They are certainly not trying to tank. We all agree. I mean, they spilled their guts out, and they had the Eagles beat, really. So I never bought that, really, but I would hope that we could at least put that to bed.
Well, I never buy it with the players. Like the idea that the players are going to go out there and just tank, I think is ludicrous. Yes. Now, the management sometimes I do believe is a different story, but I will say after his first win, Jim Irsay was excited in that locker room. So if he is trying to tank, he's doing a heck of a job of kind of masquerading that around his team.
Diabolical. The diabolical Jim Irsay. Well, he's crying on the inside, but he's cheering on the outside.
Could be.
Look, No, look, he wants Jeff Saturday to be basically his version of Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
He hopes that Jeff Saturday is his find of a former player, just a natural leader who can lead a locker room and just be a great coach. So if you tank out and win a game or two the rest of the way, you're the owner, you do whatever you want, but you're gonna have a hard time selling that to Colts fans. So yeah, they're trying to win, and they almost won, and they probably should have won. And had they won, be a little more interesting right now. I mean, at least you could sort of see a path. You would have a team right now that would have wins over the Chiefs and the Eagles, which kind of tells you, like, when they play well, they are capable of playing some pretty good football. And also they'd be sitting there at 5-5-1 and still have a chance. But losing that game, I'm with you. It's just hard. Although I still believe the Titans don't have a large margin for error and are going to be in a lot of close games and could go on. Maybe the regression is still ahead this season. And there's 4 losses ahead in close games that sort of makes it interesting once we get into December. That's possible. They have a tough schedule. Bengals are very good if you come in here and beat them.
Yeah.
Going to the Eagles, certainly that could be a loss. Going to the Chargers. Cowboys looked awfully good yesterday, 40-3 over the Vikings. They come in here, on a Thursday night. So you still have, you get the Jags twice and the Texans. Yeah, look, the Jags still talented enough to possibly make problems for you. I'm not
Look, if they get to 9 wins, they're
lot.
winning the division. They got to win 2 more games. I think.
Yeah. So you split with the Jags and beat the Texans, and you're 9-8. Are the Colts gonna beat that? You split with the Jags, beat the Jags at home, and beat the Texans at home on Christmas Eve. Which, by the way, on that day, it's okay to have your decorations up. Everyone.
It is. Thank you.
And then so then you're 9-8. The Colts are sitting here at 4-6-1 with the Steelers, at the Cowboys, at the Vikings, the Chargers, at the Giants, who, very good story, got thumped by the freaking Lions yesterday. But,
Lions are rolling.
Lions are, and then the Texans at home. So they would have to win 5 to end up, 9-7-1.
Correct.
So they have to go 5-1 down the stretch,
which is not happening.
That's a tough one. So, look, we're sitting here doing sports talk 2 days after Tennessee gave up 63 points, lost by 25 to a team it was favored to beat by what, 22.5?
Correct.
Yeah. So sports, okay. So you make those declarations at your own risk, but once you really break it down, it's pretty much over.
It's pretty much
over.
That's right. The Bills yesterday, after struggling for a little bit against the Browns, they win 31-23. They improved to 7-3. The Ravens take down the Panthers yesterday. They're at 7-3. The Chiefs win last night. They're at 8-2. So the Chiefs right now the number 1 seed in the AFC. And there's a crowd of teams right now, Joe, at 7-3 in the AFC as well. The Titans being one of those teams, Buffalo another one of those teams, the Ravens, and I read this off earlier, but the Ravens' schedule coming down the stretch here is just kind of a joke. And I realize it's the NFL and anything can happen, but if you're the Ravens, you got to be feeling pretty good about where you are right now, and this is their schedule coming down the stretch. They got the Jags coming up on Sunday, the Broncos, the Steelers, the Browns, although I guess they'll have Deshaun Watson back at that point, the Falcons, and then the Steelers again. They're going to be favored in every last one of those games coming up.
Yeah, they could end up. It's funny because they're sort of, they're underwhelming.
Yeah.
They're underwhelming offensively. It has not been, and trust me, as a Lamar Jackson fantasy owner, I'm feeling this weekly. But their defense it's a Ravens-like defense. Amazing how you can turn over a lot of personnel there, and they, for the most part, you can count on them stopping people, So they got that going. They could end up, when it's all over, they could end up pushing for the 1. They got an actual chance, which is kind of amazing, given how things looked a couple weeks ago. But they really could. They could be the 1 seed.
There's something that we brought up with Corey Curtis that I want to get your thoughts on when we come back on the Titans. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. More of your thoughts as well to get to on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Wasp with special guest Armored Saint live at Ryman Auditorium November 23rd. It's Wasp with special guest Armored Saint. Celebrate Thanksgiving Eve with the most enduring heavy metal band ever. November 23rd at Ryman Auditorium. Get tickets at Ryman.com.
It's Black Friday weekend, and Genesis Diamonds is giving away free Yetis, free pizza ovens, free Always pans, and free smart TVs. When you buy any piece of jewelry at Genesis this weekend, you'll get one of the year's coolest holiday gifts, absolutely free. Stock the tree with something for everyone this year. Spend just $299 or more on a piece of jewelry, and Genesis gives you a free rechargeable hand warmer or shiatsu massager. Spend $500 and you'll get an Ember Smart Mug, or spend at least $1,000 at Genesis this weekend, and you'll get a free mini projector or big horn pizza oven. So you can get her that beautiful ring or pair of earrings for Christmas and get one of the year's hottest gifts at no extra charge. How about a Yeti Tundra when you spend at least $1,800 this weekend? Or listen to this, spend $3,500 on a piece of jewelry and choose between a 55-inch 4K TV and a Dyson Airwrap. Yours free. Don't miss the Black Friday event. This Friday through Cyber Monday, only at Genesis Diamonds. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Golfers, tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops with TaylorMade. The TaylorMade Stealth Carbon Wood Age is here, featuring 60 layers of carbon layer for better energy transfer and faster ball speeds. And now available, the new TaylorMade high-toe milled wedges, designed for a lower launch and more spin. While you're there, pick up the popular TaylorMade Tour Response Stripe golf balls. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and have one of our experienced experts custom fit you for free today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to jarrettfire.com. JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
Hey, it's Hutton for the Low T Center. Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-injected home testosterone treatments for $155 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near a Low T Center or you just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Nashville. 312 Pizza Company only uses the best all-natural ingredients and makes everything in-house from scratch every single day. And trust me, you can taste the difference. They've got deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, their Italian beef. You'll taste the freshness. Stop in for a pint of local beer and a slice of pizza, or order online at 312pizzaco.com. 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. The World Cup underway over in Qatar. England up 4-0 on Iran right now. USA playing a little bit later today at 1 o'clock Central Time against Wales. So looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts all show long on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. So, Joe, you brought up something with Corey that's pretty interesting as they move forward. Number one, I thought Aaron Brewer did a good job at center the other night. Obviously, you're hoping Ben Jones is back and available this week, and he's back in there as kind of the leader of that offensive line. But Dylan Radins, I think, has looked okay at left guard so far when he's been in there so far this year. I mean, he's not, an all-pro or anything like that, but he's looked okay. And I do wonder, with the season going on and with more information coming to you if you're this Titans coaching staff, is there ever a point when everybody's healthy that you maybe consider what Dylan Radins looks like over at left tackle? Because I rewatched a little bit of the game the other day, and you can just see it. I mean, yes, they did a better job of protecting Ryan Tannehill, but there are some plays that are happening every game, and they happened again on Thursday against Green Bay, where Dennis Daly is just getting absolutely torched over there. And Preston Smith did it a handful of times again on Thursday night, even when in a game where you threw the ball really well and you had as much offensive success as they had. I mean, Dennis Daly is still over there just getting torched on a fairly consistent basis, and it's pretty amazing to watch. So I do wonder, kind of what that plan looks like as they move forward. And I do think the long-term plan of Brewer at center, whenever Ben Jones is done, makes a lot of sense for the Titans.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's where, that's where smaller guys like that can exist in this league, comfortably, more comfortably than at guard. And look, I think overall there have obviously been times where Brewer has been overwhelmed, and it's just, he's just been outsized at times. But I think he's been pretty good, and I totally get. I mean, he is absolutely the quintessential Vrabel guy, just like Ben Jones is. Those two guys are like, if you gave Vrabel truth serum, I mean, there's a lot of guys on this team he likes. There's a long list. There's Simmons and Byard and Long. But I bet you Brewer would be in a pretty elite category in that way as a quote-unquote Vrabel guy. And I think the long-term Brewer at center plan is probably a good one based on what we've seen. And what you're mentioning is also there's two. There's like the shorter term.
Yeah.
Could Radins actually get a look? They haven't seemed to be interested in that. And I kind of get the sense after watching Radins at times on an island with like those elite, powerful, long, fast pass rushers. I have my doubts about him long term as an offensive tackle in the NFL, but maybe he can make it as a guard. He can be a decent starting guard. Because I agree, I thought he was for the most part fine in this game. If you want to go by PFF grades, which are my favorite. I don't have them in front of me. I normally study them religiously, but
I know.
Yeah. But I do know that he graded very highly as a pass blocker in this game and not as a run blocker, which is interesting because that's kind of the opposite of the scouting report on him. Pretty good run blocker. He fits in well with what they like to do in that way. I mean, it just has struggled when he's trying to keep his balance and hold off good pass rushers. But I think you're right. I think anything's worth a look. Daly will have a lot of good snaps in a game too. It's not like Daly is just a complete sieve the entire game. I mean, he has good reps. He has good moments. They had possessions Thursday where they really got it done up front and gave Tannehill time. And I agree with Corey. It's like, hey, all of a sudden you look like a much better OC when your quarterback can stand in there and scan the field, and of course when he's throwing like that. But then you have those, whatever it is, 3, 4, 5 snaps a game where it's like, you couldn't, if you took the guy and pulled him to your quarterback, you couldn't have gotten him there faster, Like if you like the snap of the ball, you grab Tannehill and say, hit him now. Like you couldn't have been faster. And it's just, the problem is all it takes is one of those, and then you get another injury to Tannehill. So. Yeah. I think it's worth a thought, but look, they know. I mean, this is one of those to me where it's like you kind of trust Keith Carter and and the coaching staff to kind of know what they have there, and it's pretty obvious at this point that they're rolling with Daly.
Well, and also on the Ravens front, Joe, like, to me, like, I think you got to move, if you're a Titans fan, past the idea of, well, he's a second-round pick to play right tackle. Like, that's obviously that's not happening at this point. So the question is, like, can he help you somewhere? And I do think at guard, specifically at left guard, he's done okay. Like, he's been okay in there. So, if that – maybe that's the answer long-term. As you take it to long-term picture of the offensive line, could the long-term answer, whenever Ben Jones is done playing, and whether that's after this year or next year or whenever it is, of Aaron Brewer being the center and Dylan Radins being able to be good enough to be a starting left guard in the league? I know that's not what you drafted him to be, and there's no way getting around that. What the draft pick itself, not a good one with Dylan Radins being at right tackle, but if he can give you something, wouldn't you take that at this point if you're a Titans fan based on the way it's gone to this point with him?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that would be a huge salvage still. Like you said, it would not match the value of second-round pick supposed to be a good right tackle, and he's not that. So you've lost value on the pick, but if you end up having a starter at left guard that you feel good about, yeah, that's a huge salvage. Compare that to, obviously, Isaiah Wilson, just total zero from a first-round pick, and then right now it's looking very not favorable for the first-round pick of Caleb Farley. If Radins could be a starter, then, I mean, even at this point, the fact that he's been able to give you some games in a pinch, it's almost like I feel like Radins, and I understand we can isolate some snaps where he looks bad in all these games, but I do feel like Radins is a little bit of a quote-unquote gamer in terms of he can look better in these situations where he's thrust in the lineup than he can look like in practice or like in preseason games. And hey, you'll take that. You'd rather have that than the other way around. So it could be a salvage. I'm still not, sold that he's going to be a long-term answer as a starting offensive lineman, but at least there are some signs that he's improving.
Well, and the question moving forward is, was Thursday more of a revelation of the Titans and what they can be as they move forward here in the passing game? Is it an instance of the perfect combination of events? Packers didn't have Rashawn Gary, so they couldn't get after the quarterback all that much. Tannehill was red hot in the game. Burks looked good. I think there's plenty of reasons to be encouraged if you're the Titans coming off of the game on Thursday, but can you carry that forward to this Sunday against Cincinnati? Like, can the passing attack look as dangerous on Sunday as it looked against Green Bay? I don't know. Ryan Tannehill, and Corey brought it up too. I said last week that may have been the best game I've ever seen Ryan Tannehill play. Corey said that's probably about as good as Tannehill has ever looked in a Titans uniform. You're obviously not going to get that version of Ryan Tannehill every time out, but I do wonder, did the Titans maybe turn the corner a little bit offensively on Thursday with the way that they played that game?
Yeah, well, you have better protection overall. You have him playing, because it is, you said that Friday, and at first I was like, but if you really think about it, his best performances came with such better conditions around him. I mean, he's had better games, right? But in totally different situations. I mean, right, when you have a performance like that with who he's throwing to and who's blocking for him, and even a Derrick Henry stop, and Derrick Henry still a great player, but not what he was in 2020. You can make the case for that. So did they turn a corner? And I think it's a lot easier to say that if Treylon Burks is going to build on this. That's, to me, the big question that answers that. Is Treylon Burks going to build on this? Is Treylon Burks going to get from 48% of the snaps to 65% of the snaps and start taking some snaps away from some of those other guys and have a chance to make more plays and different kinds of plays? If that's the case, then, yeah, we may look back at that as a turning point. And a good night for Todd Downey in terms of doing his job.
Yep, and then got a little hairy after that. 615-737-1025. It's time for Pred's Pick to Click here on Robby and Rexrode. The Predators in action tonight at Bridgestone Arena, taking on the Arizona Coyotes. Be the first caller at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. If you guess a goal scorer for the Predators in the game tonight, you'll win a pair of tickets to a future Nashville Predators home game. 615-737-1025. 1025. Preds Pick to Click coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game.
High school football is here. Join Big Joe Dubin every Friday night at 6 for the Ample Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy.
Just a small sample of these great coaches in our area.
We'll go around the mid-state for scores and reports on all the big games.
If I'm a high school coach, I want the challenge.
The Game Blitz is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
When it comes to procuring my adult beverages for the big games, I saddle up and head to Red Spirits and Wine. Red's titanic selection of beer, wine, distilled spirits, and cigars is second to none. And Red's Cracker Jack crew always delivers a winning combination of service and value. There's no two ways about it. Red is top of the range. Open 7 days a week at Highway 70 South in Bellevue. And check us out at redspirits.com.
When joint pains cause you to sit out on everyday activities, it's time to make an appointment with Dr. Matthew Beal at Houston Clinic Orthopedics. Dr. Beal can diagnose your problem and treat the joint pain for both surgical and non-surgical matters. Board certified and fellowship trained, Dr. Beal specializes in hip, knee, joint replacement, and adult joint reconstruction. Visit tn.houston.com to learn more about Dr. Beal and to book an appointment online. Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Chase McCade.
You get a little fired up for that. Pads start popping.
Willie Donick.
And you're just thinking, this guy's unbelievable.
And Derek Mason.
Now I got to run a little bit faster so I don't get hit.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app. It's time for Preds Picks to Click.
And a shot at the score.
Do you think you know who will score a goal in tonight's Predators game?
Little give and go.
Shoot your shot for a chance to win Preds tickets. Call 615-737-1025 now. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are preferred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today. It's Pick to Click, now on Robby and Rexrode.
It is that time of the day. Time for Preds Pick to Click here on Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty and Superbook Sports. The Nashville Predators in action once again at home tonight, taking on the Arizona Coyotes at Bridgestone Arena. Preds on a 4-game point streak after a overtime loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday night. And the standings in Preds Pick to Click are as follows. Atop the leaderboard, the listeners and Joe Rexrode tied with 4 correct answers apiece. Rexrode has come back in storming fashion in this competition thus far. Michelle Knezovic, after the listeners and Rexrode with 3, and alone in the cellar in the basement in last place, myself, Robby Stanley, with 2 correct answers on the season thus far. With that in mind, let's go to our Wilson County Hyundai.
Give me Roman Yossi.
Roman Yossi, the selection. Brian, appreciate you taking time to call in.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. So Yossi is off the board, and Joe Rexrode, as fate would have it, I am up next in the competition today. Give me Philip Forsberg, number 9. I'll go with Forsberg, who is also red hot offensively right now. So Yossi and Forsberg off the board. Joe, your response and your pick. You're up next.
Yep. Well, that makes sense. You know who else is red hot? I'm going to keep going with the Nino.
Nino Niederreiter.
He had another one the other night, too. 9 goals.
He is on fire right now. Goals in 3 consecutive games for Nino Niederreiter. So Yossi, Forsberg, Niederreiter off the board. Michelle, you're up next. Some intriguing options still left on the board. Your pick to click tonight for the Nashville Predators.
Well, I had Nino in the back of my head who I was planning on picking, so thank you for that, Rexrode. I'm going to go with Matt Duchene.
Matt Duchene, the selection from Michelle Knezovic. The Preds in action tonight against Arizona. The pick to click selections, Brian calling in, selecting Roman Yossi. I'm going with Philip Forsberg, Joe Rexrode with Nino Niederreiter, and Michelle taking Matt Duchene tonight as the Predators take on the Coyotes. We'll have Max Hers coming up here in just a few minutes to look ahead at the game tonight as well. Preds Pick to Click brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty and Superbook Sports. Joe, the Predators the other night, you had a 2-1 lead in the third period. You let it get away from you late. Tampa ties it up at 2, and then Steven Stamkos with an absolute howitzer in overtime the other night to win the game for the Lightning. I thought the Lightning were the better team throughout in that game for the most part. That's not a big surprise. The Lightning are pretty darn good. I do think the Predators had some pockets where they started to look like the team that we expected them to be. I think their offensive zone's getting better. I think their defensive zone at times getting better, although they did have some opportunities that they gave up the other night where it's like Steven Stamkos or Braden Point just standing all alone in the middle of the ice with nobody around him. And it's typically not going to be a great strategy for you if that's the case. Couple of big takeaways from the last 2 games from the Predators, specifically Saturday night, Joe. I think UC Saros is just about back into form. I don't know if he's at the top of his game right now, but he's been pretty darn good ever since they came back from the homestand. So you're feeling pretty good about the goaltending right now if you're the Predators, and I thought he was excellent the other night against Tampa Bay. And I'll say this, we've talked about the D-pair shuffling that's gone on, and we talked about Ekholm and McDonough playing together earlier this season. Well, the last 2 games, they've had Ryan McDonough and Roman Yossi playing together, with Yossi being over on the right. And I'll say, they look pretty darn good together. They look pretty good together with those 2 playing that way. And, obviously, the thing you worry about when you've got 2 left-handed defensemen is putting somebody on their backhand and putting them in a tough spot offensively or on breakouts or things like that. But with the skill level that Yossi brings to the table, with his skating ability and just the hands that he has, he's made a couple of plays the last 2 games, even on his backhand in a tough spot, where I'm like, man, that's pretty good. They moved the puck pretty well, and he was able to keep it going that way. So it's a 2-game sample size. We'll see what it looks like as they continue to leave those 2 together. But those are kind of my 2 main takeaways from the game on Saturday. Saros looks like he is rounding back into form, and I think McDonough and Yossi together have been pretty good through 2 games.
Yeah, it's really interesting. That's not not something I would have guessed, going into the year. But then again, going into the year, I thought it was just going to be McDonough, Ekholm the whole time. So interesting that John Hines keeps looking for combinations, but now he's looking for combinations as this team is playing better. So, it looks less desperate. It's like they're figuring some things out here. And, of course, it starts with Saros. And he almost, again, I'm not going to say stole a game, but they almost got away with 2 points and a win against a really good team. I mean, what was about 3.5 minutes with the redirection there from Killorn, and you get out of there with a fourth straight win. But as it is, playing much better hockey. I mean, right now, this team is I don't know what the tiebreakers would be, but they're basically tied for a playoff spot now. So you always talk about that American Thanksgiving standings check. So you get to a situation like this, like tonight. You got to win this game. You've cut down your margin for error, so you can't afford to like lose a game like tonight's game. If you get it, I think you string all that together, and that's a team kind of rolling if they can win this game tonight.
Well, and it goes to show you, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Joe. I think there was room for heavy concern and there was room for criticism. The Predators weren't playing well. I mean, some of the games they played on that road trip were just terrible, and they had to find a way to correct that. I'm not saying that everything's fixed right now, but I will say, like, you start to look around the standings in the Western Conference, and St. Louis started 3-0, then they lost 8 in a row to drop to 3-8, and now they're at 9-8. They've won 6 in a row. So it's been a heck of a swing for them. They've started to kind of right the ship a little bit. All of a sudden you look at the standings, and Chicago, after a decent start, is sliding down and starting to look a little bit more like Chicago. And Arizona, after a decent start, is near the bottom. They're starting to look a little bit more about Arizona. I mean, San Jose's terrible. Anaheim's not very good. Like, the teams that we thought wouldn't be very good this year in the Western Conference, it's starting to look like they might not be very good this year in the Western Conference. So, that's why you give it some time. Things start to settle into, maybe more along the lines of what we thought they would be. Again, I'm not saying the Predators have fixed all their problems, but they have played as a whole way better on this homestand. If they play the way they played on the homestand, and you can still build a little bit in the offensive zone, which I think they need to do. There's more control that needs to take place there. You got to finish on a few more of the chances that you're getting. But I'll say this, I feel way better about the Predators and their game, results aside, feel way better about their game and the process of it this time now than I did about a week and a half ago.
Yeah. Yeah, some of these bad teams are starting to realize it and go exactly where they're supposed to go. And like you said, it's like the Blues, I swear, like, they're guaranteed at some point every year to look like awful and then just go nuts to turn it around, But, yeah, it's starting to shake out a little bit more favorably. And, again, it's you got more opportunity. I mean, this week, obviously Detroit has been a kind of a pleasant surprise, but, I still have my doubts that that's like a playoff caliber team in the end. And you got a couple games here with the Coyotes and Wings before, the big Friday could be some nice buildup and excitement. Well, either way, it's Colorado. It's the Stanley Cup champions coming in here. So that's big on its own. But if you're playing well going into that game, makes it just a little bit bigger.
Nino Niederreiter playing some really good hockey so far. And like you said, he's got 9 goals on the year. He scored in 3 games in a row. To me, he's been maybe everything and a little bit more than I thought he would be so far. I mean, we talked about him being a guy that traditionally ends up around 20, 21, 22 goals. Well, he keeps this pace up. He's going to be flirting with 30 at the end of the year with Niederreiter. I think he's been excellent so far. And, I didn't think that line as a whole was as strong the other night, but I still like the makeup of Johansson, Duchesne, and Niederreiter together.
Yeah, and Hines, had some things to say after the game about that line in particular and how, basically he likes how they're going about it. So I think there may be some staying power here, and and even with Duchesne now, I mean, he's got 10 assists on the year. Of course, if he gets a goal tonight, Michelle would very much like that. But I don't know. I feel like there's some progress there too. Like, is there anybody of their key players right now that you would say, based on this recent stretch, is really struggling? I feel like everybody's kind of at least playing, okay, playing decent.
Yeah, they picked it up.
You couldn't say earlier.
No, you couldn't, and they've picked it up. And now can you continue to build on it as you go through the process here? That's going to be the question starting tonight as they take on the Arizona Coyotes. We'll be joined by Max Hers coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the Preds and exactly where he thinks their game is right now heading into this matchup tonight at Bridgestone Arena. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3. The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Call it a win streak. This is the Commodore Report. I'm Kevin Ingram. One game to play in the regular season for Vanderbilt football, and the Commodores still have a shot at becoming bowl eligible after recording a second straight SEC win by defeating Florida 31-24 on Saturday. Exciting stuff for head coach Clark Lee, seeing his program win at home in conference play for the first time in 3 years.
They've earned it. They've earned the right to play in this game, and we're going to obviously celebrate this one, but shift our attention quickly to Tennessee and to what we can do to play at our highest level in this last contest to hopefully extend the season.
Mike Wright passed for 3 touchdowns. Ray Davis carried 30 times for 122 yards, and the defense held off a late charge by the Gators. You can hear more with Coach Lee on tonight's Commodore Hour. The regular season, by the way, finishes Saturday night with Tennessee visiting First Bank Stadium at 6:30. A first loss of the season for Vanderbilt women's basketball, falling to St. Joseph 67-59 at Memorial Gym on Sunday afternoon. Marnell Gerard and Ryan Allen scored 11 each to lead Vandy, which went just 2 for 13 from 3 and was out-rebounded 43-26. The Doors are now 5-1. The men's basketball team's in California for the Wooden Legacy Tournament in Anaheim, starting on Wednesday against St. Mary's. The team arrived on Sunday just in time to catch the Lakers-Spurs game. And Vanderbilt soccer saw its season come to an end in L.A., falling to Northwestern 2-1 in the second round of the NCAA tournament at UCLA. But a terrific season for Coach Darren Ambrose's club. They finished 12-5-4. That is the Commodore Report on 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hi, this is Chef Mark again from Bob's Steak and Chop House at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Come join us before any Preds game or concert at Bridgestone Arena. Enjoy one of our prime steaks. Why Bob's, you may ask? Because at Bob's, we not only serve prime beef, but the top 2% of prime beef in the world. Try our certified Japanese A5 or Australian tomahawks. So come see us at Omni before you go to any game and make sure to ask for Chef Mark. Let's go Preds!
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3. Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game,
Checker flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And as we do every Monday morning at 9 o'clock, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Max Hers, who handles the Predators pre- and post-game duties for the Nashville Predators radio network. Max, good morning. How we doing?
Morning, guys. I am getting ready to head down to the arena for a little Preds and Coyotes morning skate. Basking in a perfect weekend of college football that I very much enjoyed.
I'm sure you did. Let's get to that. What did you make of Vanderbilt's performance against Florida on Saturday?
It is so fun when Vandy football is not only competent, which they've passed the last 2 weeks, but capable and enjoyable to watch. And I just, as an alum, have gotten used to so many losses that it doesn't bother me anymore when they lose because I've seen them lose so much. But I always forget when they win meaningful games, the fan base is big. And all my friends who are alums, very few of whom still live here, sadly, are all into it, all watching. So it doesn't take much to mobilize the Vandy football fan base. And I think everybody's feeling sneaky good about next week. I won't speak for myself, but should be interesting trends in both directions.
Call a shot, Max. Come on.
Yeah, what are we
Call
doing?
A shot.
Bring on Tennessee, Max.
What are we doing?
My shot is my good buddy Will Bowling, who hosts a radio show at this same time on a different station, has not told me what color I'm supposed to wear to Checker Vandy yet. I asked him if I'm supposed to wear orange or white if we're still doing that. But I have not gotten an answer, so trying to lay out my outfit.
Well, I can tell you Max was enjoying himself the other night while I was not on press row. I can tell you that he was. So, Max, what did you make of the game for the Preds the other night? Obviously, they fall in overtime to Steven Stamkos and the Lightning. Points in 4 straight on this homestand. Overall, where do you think their game is right now as they head into this one against Arizona?
I think they're playing really well. Saturday's game, from an unbiased perspective, was a great game. I mean, such a great game. 2 fun teams that matched each other. It's always good to see the Preds be able to run and score and keep up and have the goaltending to compete against a team like that. I thought Saros was the better goalie compared to Vasilevsky, and it wasn't even close. I honestly did not think Vasilevsky had a great game, and unfortunately the Preds weren't able to capitalize on that with 2 standings points. But it was a great game, a ton of action, no dead time, and we got some 3-on-3 that sadly turned into 4-on-3, and the Lightning got the bonus point.
So we were talking, Max, about McDonough, Yossi. It just obviously been very interesting to see the different lineup configurations, but this one is intriguing. What do you think of it? What do you think its staying power is?
I think the staying power is good, and we saw it on the literal first shift of them playing together on Thursday night against the Islanders. I don't want to get my opponents crossed here. Against the Islanders, Philip Forsberg is going crazy. He got a shot from the right wing. He got a wraparound shot on the rebound, and he's just hacking at it like crazy, but he can't score. And it comes back out to the point where Yossi comes in from the right point on his one-timer side, takes a one-timer off the rebound straight up to him, puts it on goal, rebound goes right to Forsberg, who scores it. And Roman Yossi told me on Saturday that is a shot he does not get if he's playing on the left side. That goal does not happen if he's playing on the left side. So the right side stuff does have its challenges in the neutral zone and in the D zone, especially when you're backtracking and trying to break out because you're stuck on your backhand when you have the puck a lot. But in the offensive zone, it really has some perks, and I think Yossi is smart enough and good enough offensively to take advantage of that. And I thought, especially in the first period on Saturday, he was unbelievable. Like, he is, in these 2 games he's been paired with McDonough, he is coming out of the gate knowing who he is paired with, knowing that McDonough is going to stay at home more often than not, and knowing that he can lead plays whether or not he has the puck. So I think that part of it shows really well. And I think McDonough has played the 2 best games he's played as a Pred through all this too. And I mean, maybe this is obvious, but there's no player in the NHL who isn't going to play well paired with Roman Yossi.
Max, to that point, speaking of playing well for the Predators, Nino Niederreiter continues to be hot. He's got goals in 3 games in a row. I think he's at 9 overall on the season. He's been a guy that you can pretty much count on for 20, 22 goals so far in his career, but he's off to a heck of a start. What do you think has allowed him to be so successful so quickly with the Predators?
I will rephrase your question with something that one of the Islanders reporters, who I guess knows John Hines well from when Hines was with the Devils, he came into the Preds press conference Thursday morning before we played them, and he asked Hines, like, Niederreiter's leading your team in goals. Did you guys bring him in to be a checker, and all the scoring is just a bonus? And John Hines very politely said, in the most polite way possible, you could not be more wrong. Yeah. And I'll phrase it that way. They need him to score, and he's leading the team in goals right now. He's got 9 goals, which is really important. And whether or not the goals fall for him, they need him to be a puck hound, especially in the offensive zone. They need him to retrieve. They need him to create takeaways. And that's what happened on his goal on Saturday. He took the puck away from a forward on the wall against Nick Paul. Duchesne helped him out. And as soon as Niederreiter had even partial control of the puck, he shot it. And like I said, I didn't think Vasilevsky was great in that game.
Yep.
That was a bad goal that Vasilevsky gave up, at least on like just kind of the first look on film. And Seamay said this well on the TV broadcast. He didn't know what type of save he was going to make. He didn't know if he was going to get it with his pad or with his stick, what his move was going to be. And it was because Niederreiter was so dang quick, turning the puck over, getting it into a shot opportunity, and that's exactly what the Preds need him to do. So he's playing a huge role for them. And obviously he has 9 goals, and we're coming up on Thanksgiving. He's on pace for more than 20, which would be absolutely huge for them.
What are you seeing lately from Duchesne?
He's been better. He's been a lot better. Just a lot more use of the middle of the ice and not really walling himself off as the Preds gain the zone. Because his problem has never been this season. Excuse me. His problem this season has not been zone entries. He's brought the puck in really well. It's about what happens next. And I think those decisions have been better. And I think, yes, Niederreiter has been great on the other wing of that line. I think playing with Johansson is what has really helped Duchesne, because Johansson is the one who can lug the puck a lot. And Duchesne knows, and he scored a goal like this. Granted, it was a power play goal on Tuesday, but he knows that Johansson can make the play for him, and I think he hasn't tried to force as much, which is good.
Max, last thing for you here. Based on what you've seen in the homestand, are we willing to declare that UC Saros is officially back, whatever that means?
Yeah, I don't know if he left, but he's back. I don't know if I want to stretch. He was all the way gone and all the way back. Like, weeks like that are going to happen, and I think the Preds pushed the correct buttons with him in terms of pulling him, not even waiting for the period break in Seattle, pulling him after the 4th goal win in that game, letting him sit the final 2 periods of that game, and then starting Lankinen in the next game and leaving Lankinen in, even though that was another blowout loss, which was not Lankinen's fault at all. But Saros got to sit 5+ periods consecutively. How often is that going to happen when he's healthy? Really, never. So they made the right move with that. I am just guessing. I imagine he will start again tonight, since it's a division game, even though it's the Coyotes. If I had to guess, we'll see Lankinen Saturday night. Again, this is all just me guessing, but no reason to not go with Saros again and again until you have the back-to-back this weekend, which isn't even a full back-to-back because it's a day game Friday. So you got extra rest in there if you want to use them twice.
Max Hurst, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode, joins us every Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Max, thanks for taking time to be with us. Enjoy yourself at the game tonight, and looking forward to this one coming up on Saturday as well between Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Yeah,
it should be fun. I will be at the Preds game, so one of you text me updates, I guess. And also, regarding tonight's game, really hoping Connor Ingram is in goal for the Coyotes. Would love to see him get that chance.
Yep, that would be awesome. Max, appreciate you, bud.
Thanks, guys.
615-737-1025. That would be pretty awesome, Joe, if Connor Ingram could go tonight. That'd be great.
Very cool.
If you're the Preds, you got to avoid the Connor Ingram revenge tour game if that's the case. He could pull a Tannehill. He could be in the hallway right now, like doing one-arm push-ups or throwing that tennis ball as hard as he can up against the wall, testing his reflexes. Got to watch out for that.
That little, like the pregame soccer, he's just like hitting headers off the wall over and over again. Yeah.
Could be. Thanks to Max for joining us. Preds taking on the Coyotes tonight. Coming up next, we'll get back into the Vols. What in the world happened to Tennessee on Saturday night in South Carolina? We'll get to that. We'll get to the Hendon Hooker injury. All that ahead at 615-737-1025. Bavarian Beer House, Nashville's only authentic German beer hall, is a place full of fun, food, music, and most importantly, beer. Enjoy traditional German bratwurst, schnitzel, giant pretzels, and more in an Oktoberfest-inspired space. Head to theGameNashville.com/deals to get a $50 gift card for only $25 to Bavarian Beer House while supplies last. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Your home for the MTSU Blue Raiders is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Every touchdown.
Yes! Touchdown!
Every three.
Free ball! Yes, sir!
It all lives here.
Middle Tennessee!
You can also hear the Blue Raiders in the Borough on 97.5, Middle Tennessee Athletics on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention hockey fans, come see Northeastern and Western Michigan face off at this year's Music City Hockey Classic in a matchup of two of the NCAA's top 20 ranked college teams at Bridgestone Arena Friday, November 25th, 6:30 p.m. Get your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com. Let the puck drop and the excitement begin. Northeastern Huskies versus the Western Michigan Broncos in Nashville, November 25th.
Hey, it's Mike from Newton Ford South. I don't know about you guys, but I love this time of year. I get to see all the beautiful fall colors, the fantastic weather. We're getting deeper into football season. It's just a reminder that we have so much to be thankful for. And while the automotive industry has been a bit of a roller coaster, we are still so thankful to serve the local community. We love being able to partner with local schools and organizations. We're also so thankful that we've earned business not only from our local communities, but from places all across the United States. The response from customers far and wide is, "This was so amazing. I've never had a car buying experience like this." Check out our reviews online to see for yourself. So no matter if you're in the market for a new car, looking to sell your car, or even service your car, come find out why Newton is different. Change your experience. Come see us in store or visit us online at newtonfordsouth.com.
These are battles, these are grinds. We don't panic, we don't freak out. That's how we're built.
1, 2, 3. This is your drive to the playoffs update, presented by Coleman Tractor, Tennessee's largest Kubota dealer, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Some extra rest for the Tennessee Titans after a big win Thursday night in Green Bay, 27-17. But some off-the-field news early Friday morning will be the biggest story to keep an eye on this week. Offensive coordinator Todd Downing was arrested early Friday morning for a DUI. Mike Vrabel addressed this with the media Friday and said they are speaking to the NFL to figure out the situation.
I think that we're working through all of that right now in our conversations that John and I have had. Also between us, our president, Burke. I don't think that we're ready to comment on that, on what that may look like. Again, just remind everybody that the decisions that we have to make have to be great ones, and we'll continue to have conversations with the league and then also internally.
This week, the Titans will have Thursday off to spend Thanksgiving with their friends and family, but they're back in action to host the Bengals this Sunday in Nissan Stadium. This report is presented by Coleman Tractor. I'm Michelle Knezvik for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
National Playmakers Academy with former Vols Buck Fitzgerald and James Stone, along with former Austin Peay Governor Vic Wright, offer one of the best football developmental organizations in the nation. MPA has over 30 NFL alumni, 800-plus college football scholarship signees, and 25 high school football All-Americans. If you have a student athlete in middle school or high school that is looking for the best football training and college football recruiting help around, contact National Playmakers Academy today, 615-456-2680, or email april.mpafootball@gmail.com. Are you looking for Tennessee-grown and crafted THC, CBD, Delta 8, Delta 9 products? Then float on over to ounceofhope.com. On top of the widest selection of luxury edibles and smokables, their customer service team is high quality and prepared to help select the right cannabis product for your needs. Their knowledgeable team will have you flying high with a smile. That's ounceofhope.com, made locally in Memphis. Ounce of Hope is Memphis Flyers' best cannabis shop 2 years in a row. Legal THC delivered to your door. ounceofhope.com.
The Nashville Jam Company is already a super popular weekend breakfast and brunch destination. But with summer over, it's time to put the beach body away for a while. So for fall, they've expanded their offerings and added what they call the Meat and Three menu. Yeah, cool weather and Southern comfort food go hand in hand. And the stars of this show are the hefty meatloaf, Southern fried catfish, slow-cooked pot roast, fried chicken, Salisbury steak, and a slew of other rib, stick, and delicacies. And they have salads, too, if you're into that kind of thing. Come see the new menu Monday through through Friday from 10:30 till 2.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Good morning, Gamecock Nation.
Oh, the great Shane Beamer bringing us back in here.
I've been trolled all morning. I haven't done it. I've refrained.
Made that loss infinitely worse that he was the head coach on the other side. Tennessee falls 63-38 on Saturday night, giving up basically a score every drive to South Carolina on Saturday night at Williams-Brice Stadium. It was a shocking result, and now Tennessee at 9-2 is out of the college football playoff discussion. There's a lot to get to with this game, Joe, but let's just start with the low-hanging fruit. You give up 63 points to a South Carolina offense that, quite frankly, has not been very impressive all season long with Spencer Rattler and that receiving core, and they did whatever they wanted to do, however often they wanted to do it on Saturday night against that Tennessee defense. And from that part of the game to the Hendon Hooker injury, which we'll get to here in just a few minutes, if you had to draw up, Joe, what a disaster looks like for Tennessee football, it was pretty much that game on Saturday night against South Carolina. So my question is, what in the world happened to Tennessee on Saturday night, particularly on the defensive side of the football? It's an extended mute.
Joe.
Extended mute from Joe Rexrode.
The amazing thing is, it's like, so then that's when all of a sudden you can't even click it, and it does that thing where you have to hit like the arrow in the corner. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Like, why does that happen? Why does that ever happen?
I don't know.
Why does Zoom sometimes do that to you? I don't know. I had a really good answer and I've forgotten it. I had the answer to what happened to Tennessee. No, it was gross. I mean, it was gross. South Carolina scored 6 a week earlier against Florida.
Yeah.
Scored 10 2 weeks before that against Missouri at home. So there was no reason to believe that was my thing going the game. Is we talked some last week about, well, it is at night. Rattler is talented. It's a big opportunity for South Carolina, at home, and sometimes those things can get weird. They can get interesting. But I still was like, their offense is so inconsistent and unreliable. It's just hard to imagine they'll be able to keep up.
Well, and by the way, they were missing their top 2 running backs in this game, so let's throw that in there too.
Yeah, there's that too. So they ran for like 180 or something, right? Something like that, or
153,
160 maybe 153. Yeah. There was just no reason to think that. I mean, there's no reason to think. I mean, Alabama, is obviously an incredibly gifted offense. Maybe not as great a receiver as some years, but incredibly gifted. I mean, they scored 49 on the Vols, but like 63 points. Basically, you stopped them one time. I mean, they got stopped by the end of the half. That possession doesn't count. You got one stop, it was a 3-and-out, and then every other possession was a touchdown. That's incredible. It's just, and I can't tell you, I know, look, this is one of those things where people automatically go to like the D coordinator, and that's fine. It was a terrible night for Tim Banks and his staff and the players. I can't sit here and pretend I have an answer on why South Carolina receivers were so obscenely wide open so often. It was weird. I mean, it really was. Like, how? 3rd and 20, sure. No problem. It's like, I don't know if it was, communication errors, some individual mistakes, obviously. And there's some, we know the Tennessee secondary is not very good. We know they have to recruit and get better there. And we knew that already, but that doesn't explain this. This was gross.
Well, look, and I said this earlier, I'm really not trying to take anything away from Spencer Rattler. I mean, the numbers were absurd in that game. 30 of 37, 438 yards, 6 touchdowns. I mean, he played almost perfectly. But I also, Joe, like I look at the pressure or lack thereof that Tennessee was able to generate, and like you said, the wide receivers just running wide open the whole game. And if you're a Tennessee fan, you're like, well, how many great throws did you really force Spencer Rattler to make in that game? There were some, but not very many. I mean, a lot of those guys were just wide open in the field, and that was to me the strange part of this game is, look, I don't think anybody has confused Tennessee's defense for the 85 Chicago Bears so far this year, but they've had their moments where they've been good, and they've certainly been way better than what we saw on Saturday. Like Saturday night was one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen from any team at any level ever. And I don't think that's that much of an exaggeration.
I don't either. No, and it's just incredible. Think about same defense. Yeah, I mean, Jeremy Banks was there, but like they go to LSU, and I know LSU hadn't figured everything out yet, and they had some success moving the ball through the air, but like you get those short yardage stops and you get after the quarterback, and you hold that team to 13 points in their own place. And even the Alabama game, crazy shootout, but there were some key stops also along the way. There was no sign of a pulse Saturday. And I do wonder, look, I mean, some people on the text line, Rebecca mentioning like the rumor with Banks, and it was I'm talking about Jeremy Banks, not Tim Banks.
Yeah.
And all that. And he's disputed that. But whatever the case, Josh Heupel says after the game, I want people to feel it, including people who weren't on the trip. I take that absolutely as him talking about Jeremy Banks.
Yep.
And clearly something happened that got him left home. And I'm not excusing the performance at all with this, but I would not be surprised if that was a distraction that ended up hurting this team. Again, credit to South Carolina, discredit to people. You go out and play football, make plays, man. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to say that whatever happened to lead to Jeremy Banks being left at home had an adverse effect on Tennessee. And it's too bad because Tennessee has been a tremendous – I mean, to be able to do what they've done this year, you have to have a good locker room. You have to have really good chemistry, and there's been just so much. I mean, you ask anybody around there, and they'll talk about players, coaches. The players will talk about how different it is with this coaching staff, and like it's been a really good thing. There's no way you have this kind of success without it, and then you have something like whatever happened, and I think it would be silly to just ignore that as a factor here.
Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Daryl from Columbia. Daryl, thanks for calling in.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
We're good.
Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, I think all the credit. I think the credit has to go to our new coach, Shane Beamer. Like you said, we scored 6 against Florida week before last. Abysmal game against Missouri on the week before that. I thought we had no shot. No shot. I told my wife, I said, the only shot that we have at keeping it close was using every second, whether it's, let that clock run down on every play just to keep that offense off the field. Never did in 1,000 years did I think we beat them at their own game. Never in 1,000 years. Shane Beamer, I'm ecstatic. We love this new coach. I grew up in Southwest Virginia. My parents are Hokies. My brother's a Hokie grad. We watched Frank Beamer. His daddy Beamer built his program from the ground up. And we're so excited to have Shane Beamer as our coach. He's committed to Columbia. Yeah, we had Steve Spurrier and Lou Holtz in the past, and they took us to heights we never knew. But we finally have us a young coach who's motivated, wants to be in Columbia, raises kids in Columbia. We have a coach who's committed to the University of South Carolina for the long term. On the Tennessee side, I hated to see Hooker go down. Tennessee fans, it's only one game. Should be excited that a fan like me is so excited about beating you because it means your name is back. It means Tennessee is back to where they were, and frankly, all things said they should be. But I got a crow. It's a Go Cox here, and I'm wearing my Carolina colors today. Love the show. Talk to you later.
Hey, thanks, Daryl. Appreciate the call. I mean, look, we've talked about, in my opinion, what a goober Shane Beamer can be at times. But I will say, he's done a heck of a job so far in South Carolina. There's no denying that.
Well, look, let me echo Daryl. My brother's a Hokie grad. Really, I mean, I'm a Hokie fan. I mean, that's what I am as a college football fan. So I love Frank Beamer. And I will say I kind of enjoy your distaste for Shane Beamer. I would agree there are times I'm like, ooh, boy, I don't know. But you know what?
Let the record show that I think he's probably a really solid guy. It's just some of the things he does. I'm like, good Lord.
He's just cringe on social media sometimes with the ski glasses and the TikTok videos. Yeah. You're like, ooh.
Yes, but you know what? It's like me complaining about these new uniforms, right? Like, if it's effective, do it. Yeah. If it's effective, do it. Yeah, one thing I'll say about South Carolina, I mean, just beat Missouri at home, and they're 8-3 right now.
I know. Going
to Clemson. And I must say, I'm actually – like, if that game was in Columbia, I'd really be interested. But I'm not. I'm interested in South Carolina at Clemson, and it's been a long time since that was an interesting game. So you do have to definitely give them credit.
More on the Vols coming up next. 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. What happened to the Vols on Saturday night? And we'll also take a look at the brutal Hendon Hooker injury as well. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes.
Tune in to Robby and Rexrode every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yossi.
Matt Duchesne. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3. The Game.
Hiller is giving away cash for the holidays, and we are celebrating from now until the end of the year with special deals. Hiller wants to make sure every child experiences the joy of Christmas this year, so they're donating $50 in toys to Toys for Tots with every tankless water heater purchase, and giving away a $250 Visa gift card with each unit. Get a $500 Visa gift card when you buy select new HVAC systems, or a $500 Visa gift card with the purchase of any new whole home generator. More details at happyhiller.com. As always, happy you'll be, or the service is free, and these deals are only available until the end of the year. So that's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, Electrical. Call the Happy Face truck today.
Preds fans, you coming out for tonight's big game? The pre-party action is at Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville, steps away from Bridgestone Arena. Enjoy great specials like $3 off any appetizer in the bar area and $20 bucket specials on Bud, Bud Light, Mick Ultra, and Landshark beer. A sports TV viewing mecca, the Landshark Bar and Grill is a Lower Broadway must-see. That's the Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on the corner of 4th Avenue and Broadway. Stop in before the Preds game tonight.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota compact tractors, rated #1 in durability and owner experience. They're designed for easy operation and feature performance-matched attachments. Right now, put 0 down and get 0% APR for up to 48 months, plus save up to $1,100. Now through December 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor Company, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
Attention Preds fans, this is Jeremy, General Manager at Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars at 508 Church Street in downtown Smashville. Come check out the most awarded cigar and bourbon lounge in the country and watch our Golden Blue Preds make another Stanley Cup playoff run. Take a picture with me, post to our Blend Facebook and Instagram, and be entered to win a special Davidoff package. Experience luxury at its finest with the best spirits and cigars in the industry. Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars, time beautifully filled.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want?
I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian Home Cocktail Maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails, from classics to the most exotic premium cocktails served in the best bars today. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Cocktail Maker. And now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever at bartesian.com/enjoy. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now, only at bartesian.com/enjoy. That's BARTESIAN.com/enjoy for Bartesian's best deal ever. Only at bartesian.com/enjoy.
Hey Nashville, TJ Anderson here. With real estate listings, you have to read between the lines. Like breathtaking means yikes. Fixer upper
It was definitely on an episode of Hoarders. And close to everything? Well, I hope you like the sound of trains. My team at TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty is ready to help both home buyers and sellers decode the market. Oh, and if the house is charming, it's probably ugly, but has a great personality. Google TJ Anderson Homes, read our reviews, and see why we are referred for a reason. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, 615-432-2919.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, it's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
This Sunday following the Titans game, tune in for the NFL postgame with Jonathan Hutton and Chad Withrow live from the Superbook Lounge in Landshark Bar and Grill, Margaritaville on Broadway. The postgame show brought to you by Renter's Warehouse, Two Rivers Ford, custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford, and Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today. We are talking about the Tennessee Vols and their loss to South Carolina on Saturday night. They fall 63-38 at the hands of the South Carolina Gamecocks, and their college football playoff hopes now down the drain after that performance on Saturday night. And asking the question, how did it happen? How did it get to that point on defense? And, Joe, it was interesting. Like, they kept throwing the ball and having as much success as you could have throwing the ball against you. And I would look up, and it was specifically really one guy that kept talking. Like, Kamal Hadden just got torched all night long. And he would get up, and he'd just be in the face of South Carolina receivers the whole night. I mean, and to his credit, he did it the whole time. They were down by 30. He was still doing it, just running his mouth to South Carolina receivers in the middle of the game. And I thought to myself, like, are you going to shut up at any time? Like, this is the worst defensive performance I've ever seen, and Kamal Hadden's out there running his mouth left and right.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Well, look, maybe he was actually, like, ripping on himself. You know, I mean,
encouraging South Carolina. Good catch, buddy.
Yep, that's what it was, Joe.
Call it again.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't hear him. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, that was not exactly the that was not exactly the way you want to approach a night you're getting absolutely a torch like that. And I don't have, and Hadden, he's at times I thought been their best corner.
Yeah.
I think back to like the Pittsburgh game, for example. That was a game where it's like, wow, this team might actually have a decent defense. There's been moments like that where you kind of thought that, but it's like everyone collectively just forgot how to like communicate on coverages, forgot how to cover people in man. Like it was wild, man. Like, how does it get that bad? And again, you credit South Carolina. They do have talented receivers. They do have a talented quarterback. And they just got into a zone. They were just red hot, but you just letting that happen. And look, I think the severity of this loss kind of does bring home the fact that Tennessee's not supposed to be here right now competing for a playoff spot. Tennessee remains right now with this 9-2 record going into Vanderbilt ahead of schedule without question on Josh Heupel's second season. Without question. It's just that you thought that maybe this offense. I saw Caroline Fenton put up the tweet. Can we stop with the 2019 LSU comparisons? To this offense. And again, when we talked about that, it was a flawed comparison because that was #1 pick level talent versus scheme, a little bit more on this side. But this offense looked like it was so dominant times that maybe it could overcome other issues and deficiencies on this team. But if you're going to play defense like they did Saturday night, then no, it can't.
No, I mean,
we learned that.
Well, I mean, I think Adam Spark said it very well earlier in the show. Like, Tennessee got a firsthand look at what it's been like for a lot of people this year to play against Tennessee on the offensive side of the ball. And, South Carolina punted one time in this game. It was incredible to watch what took place out there. I've heard a lot of this from Tennessee fans, both in the game and after the game, about the lack of adjustments from Tim Banks and the defensive staff. I mean, Joe, I thought they tried just about everything in that game, and nothing worked. I know they were in zone. They were in man. They blitzed. They backed off. It felt like everything they tried just didn't work.
Yeah, I guess no, right. I mean, it's like when you're getting your butt kicked, that there's often why didn't you make adjustments? Yeah, like they tried different things. They tried different approaches. I mean, I guess you could make a case to just blitz more, be more aggressive. Look, that is where Jeremy Banks as a blitzer is very effective, and they did miss that. Yeah, I'm not trying to put this on that, but I'm just saying that is one of the things that he does very well for this team. He times up blitzes and gets home really effectively. And I guess you could say just sell out more in this game if you go back, but again, like if you can't, you've been playing defense all year. This has been the same defense all year, most of the same players. Like, was this a preparation? I think a lot of this was probably lost before you got to the game. I don't know ultimately, like, you have to execute something. You have to cover someone, tackle someone. Look, I mean, for Tim Banks, it's a terrible, performance. I think that overall for 2 years, given what he inherited, I would say he still has overachieved too, even though the offense is the story with Tennessee. It's going to be really interesting moving forward. I said this earlier on the show. There are D coordinators out there in college football who will not touch being on a staff with the offense that Tennessee runs. They believe that it wears out your defense too much, and then you can't prepare the same way because the practice is different, and they just think you get hung out to dry both as games go on and then as a season goes on. So was this a little bit of that, like things kind of caving in? I don't know. I mean, you could say that, or you could just say it was a terrible night. But I'm just saying there are defensive coaches out there who are very afraid of being paired up with this offense.
Oh, then, Joe, the cherry on top of the disaster that was Saturday night for Tennessee, Hendon Hooker goes down. He's carrying the ball. He makes a plant on his left knee, and he goes down, drops the ball because he's in so much pain and has to be helped off the field. And you knew and you hoped you were wrong at that point, but you kind of knew deep down that was going to be a serious knee injury. And it was revealed yesterday that Hendon Hooker did indeed tear his ACL. He's out for the remainder of the season, obviously, and his Tennessee football career is over at this point. Just really tough to see Hendon Hooker go out that way.
Yeah, really tough. He's just been from every angle. He's just been such a huge breath of fresh air for Tennessee. Great player, and in less than 2 years, end up being a couple games into the 2021 season and done a couple games before the 2022 season ends. And yet, in that time, I think it is absolutely not hyperbole to say he's an all-time Tennessee great. I actually go a little further than. Sparks was on earlier saying he's right there with like Dobbs and Ainge and those guys, and
he's beyond those two.
I think it's beyond that. Obviously it would be much easier to say that had this team gotten to the playoff or won the SEC East or something, right? But still, his performance has been outrageously good.
Well, the bottom, like Eric Ainge and Josh Dobbs were good. Neither one of them were ever in a Heisman Trophy conversation.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that sucks too. Like Hooker is probably because it'd be great to see him get to New York still and have that recognition. I have my doubts about whether he will. It's still possible. He could get enough votes to make the cutoff and go to New York. I wish that they would do 5 no matter what. They used to do that, and now they kind of, if there's a bulk of votes for like 3, they'll just cut it off there. But no, you're right. Those guys weren't in the Heisman race. He was the leader. He was the favorite for the Heisman not that long ago. And I just think I do agree with what Sparks said about like it's sort of like, so from here, is it going to be like anybody they plug into this offense is going to have numbers like that? I doubt it. I don't think so. I mean, if that's the case, well, 1, they're going to have a hell of a program.
Yeah.
But 2, then, maybe you look back at Hooker and say, he started it, but basically like, hey, this is what it is in this offense. I doubt that's going to be the case. Like Joe Milton, I think could be a really good quarterback, and it's going to be fascinating to watch him these last 2 games and then next year. And then Nico's probably coming after that, or maybe Nico competes with him at some point next year, gets the job, whatever. But you're going to be hard-pressed to match what Hendon Hooker did, and in particular, never turning the ball over. I don't care what offense you're in. You could easily turn the ball over in any offense, and he doesn't. He didn't.
Well, and, the game itself, it was spiraling out of control before the injury. So, look, I don't think if Hendon Hooker stays healthy, they come back and win that game anyway, based on the way the defense was playing. But just in terms of his future, like the draft, how is this going to affect him now in the draft? Also, even just to close out the regular season against Vandy and in the bowl game, having him close that out on his own terms, I would have loved to have seen that. And, obviously when you have a big injury like this, I didn't know exactly where Hooker was going to end up in the draft anyway. A lot of that depends on who you ask. But I do wonder now with this injury, how much does this hurt him from that standpoint?
I mean, I think the ACL itself, people feel pretty comfortable, especially with like skill players with ACLs, But where it hurts him, see, to me, like he had a chance to elevate himself if he got to the playoff and played great one of those games. I know you're going on the evaluation of the player's skill set, how he projects and all that. But you know what? There are GMs out there who will get mesmerized and enamored with an incredible winner. And with someone who can elevate a program like this, it was Cheeks 2 years ago. So like the team aspect of him leading some incredible outcome and playing great on the biggest stage, to me, might have given him a chance to be like in the first round. Just all it takes one GM to be in love with you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, right? So he's lost that opportunity. I think that's the bigger deal here. He's lost the opportunity to do that. And of course, he didn't play well against Georgia. He played great against Alabama. So it's been a mixed bag. Another opportunity on the big stage would have been great for him. I think he's probably a 2nd or 3rd round pick. That'd be my guess right now. But again, it's still the same thing is true. One GM is all it takes. And I can make a case for why Hendon Hooker can be a good NFL quarterback.
615-737-1025. We'll continue the conversation on the Vols. Now with Joe Milton as the starting quarterback. How intriguing is this game against Vanderbilt coming up on Saturday? We'll get to that next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
There's never a good time for your furnace to go out, especially in the winter, but it's always a good time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Hey, it's Eddie George. You know we all have crazy busy lives and don't take time to research car insurance, right? Well, you don't have to. Xander Insurance does all the work for you. Their system shops over 15 top companies to find you the best rates, and they keep shopping every year. Their clients have saved an average of $600. That's why I'm a client. Xander gives me more options. More options means more savings. Get free quotes at XanderInsurance.com or call 800-356-1780.
Hey Nashville, TJ Anderson here. With real estate listings, you have to read between the lines. Like cozy means super small. Great bones means money pit. And motivated sellers? Well, that means the honeymoon is probably over for them. My team at TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty is ready to help both home buyers and sellers decode the market. Oh, and if the house needs a little TLC, you should probably pack your hazmat suit. Google TJ Anderson Homes, read our reviews, and see why we are referred for a reason. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, 615-432-2919.
When joint pains cause you to sit out on everyday activities, it's time to make an appointment with Dr. Matthew Beal at Houston Clinic Orthopedics. Dr. Beal can diagnose your problem and treat the joint pain for both surgical and non-surgical matters. Board certified and fellowship trained, Dr. Beal specializes in hip, knee, joint replacement, and adult joint reconstruction. Visit tn.houston.com to learn more about Dr. Beal and to book an appointment online. Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
Hey, it's Big Joe on the go. Look, I get it. Nobody likes being in a car accident, but when that happens, make it easy on yourself and call Apple Collision Centers so you don't have to stress. They're locally owned with 3 convenient locations in O'Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Apple Collision Centers managers combined for 60-plus years experience, and they only recommend original equipment parts on your vehicle. So, if you're in need of a repair today or down the road, just head over to Apple Collision Centers. Stan and his team will take great care of you. Online, applecollisioncenters.com.
Joe Rexrode here for OrderGreen.com. Listen, to do the job I do, got to stay on the move at all times. Lots of travel, early mornings. Sometimes it can catch up with you, and when it does, I always enjoy natural and enjoyable ways to de-stress my mind and body. That's why I use a high-quality, wide selection of THC and CBD products from OrderGreen.com. It's not just me. Lots of my friends are on the bandwagon here, including a sick family friend of ours who has gotten great benefits. OrderGreen.com. You subscribe, you save 25% off shipments of gummies, or use promo code JOE20 for 20% off your first purchase. OrderGreen.com.
Informative.
They played a lot of power play time together back in the day.
Insightful.
It's a great addition to this team.
And just 3 guys being dudes.
On the sideline in shorts and a t-shirt.
Hanging out, watching the game.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
No such thing as bad press.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. The text line rarely disappoints. Today, no exception. Talk about Hendon Hooker and what the injury could mean for his draft status. Ben from Dixon on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, well, Hendon Hooker just made J-Rob's list. He loves injured players.
Oh, boy.
Josh from White House says, I can see it now. The injury does hurt him, but he'll be sitting there in the 20s for J-Rob to take him. This is from Josh from White House. I knew we'd get some J-Rob, Hendon Hooker jokes today on the text line, and we did.
Oh, yes. Yeah, who had the first one today? We got to give credit to them.
I said it earlier, and I forgot.
I forget. But anyway, yeah, we gave you props earlier.
That's who it was. It was Chuck.
Okay. Mike from Shelbyville had a funny one. The 85 Bears defense at their current ages would have been better than the Vols Saturday. That's pretty good. Yeah. So here's I guess, again, sometimes I get trolled, so like, as you know, sometimes I get trolled and then I don't handle it well. Okay. So maybe I'm being trolled, but I think this is a serious text. Brandon from Columbia. Jeremy Banks didn't play. He was benched. What do you guys think of the grumblings that the Vols defense didn't play hard in spite of the coaches sitting banks? Or I assume he means because of the coaches sitting banks. Yeah. So here's what I said. I can buy this was a distraction and had a negative effect. I can buy that. The idea that these Tennessee players, who they all desperately want to make the playoff, they want to win a national championship, they want to win. They also all want to make the National Football League and play football for their career. Would intentionally dog it in a game like this because they're mad at the coaches for one guy being sat? I mean, talk that through and tell me, like, how many dumber things could you even come up with today? I bet you can only come up – I mean, you come up with a lot of dumb stuff, but, like, think about how stupid that is.
Hey, there's a message boards post out there right now on Message Boards Geniuses that is blaming South Carolina. They put sand on the field to slow down Tennessee's wide receivers, and that's why Tennessee lost. So you can come up with a lot of stuff.
So why was it working for the South Carolina receivers? What were
they've been training in sand, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. They were out there wearing flip-flops, flying through the sand like they're on the beach running toward the ocean.
Just telling you what the message board says.
I bet you Message Board Geniuses has some buttes from this game, huh? I got to go check that out.
Well, if you want to know if the Vols are really back, check out that message board the other night. It was beautiful.
Oh, God.
There was some fire hypo on there. There's good stuff, man.
Oh, like, there you go.
9-2, and they lose one game. And I'm done with hypo if he doesn't fire Tim Banks. Done with it. Good Lord. Oh, man.
Wouldn't it be funny to tell yourself that all this would happen at the beginning of the season and you would be so excited?
What do you mean?
Because you guys were like, okay, we hope we get a 10-win season. Like, that would be great, And now everybody's like, it's over. It's the worst season, fire. And it's like, guys, you killed it this season. And I know it sucks because the way it ended. But, I mean, It's got to be promising that
no.
they're back.
No, for sure. I mean, but it's just, perspective. Yeah, you told anybody at the beginning of the season they're all over this. Heck yeah. Especially with a win over Alabama. Are you kidding me? But, that's the thing. You raise the expectations in real time, and it was there. I mean, it was there for them. I don't know what's going to happen, but if I'm a Tennessee fan, I'm like earmuffs. I don't want to see what happens because TCU is going to lose. Ohio State's going to blow out Michigan, or USC's going to enough's going to happen that they would have gotten it.
Well, for about 15 minutes, it looked like the sea was parting on Saturday to Tennessee being not only in the college football playoff, but probably in the college football playoff as like the number 3 seed on Saturday because TCU was losing and their coach made one of the most idiotic decisions I've ever seen, and they got away with it, kicking the field goal after. And then Michigan was down to Illinois. And I thought both of them were about to go down, and I was like, man, Tennessee, if they win out, they're going to be in, and they're going to be the number 3 against Ohio State.
And like Michelle said, Maryland had a great chance to beat Ohio State. It wasn't quite the same. Like Illinois had Michigan beat.
Yeah.
Baylor had TCU beat. And they both. Yeah, no, you're right. It was looking now. So let's play that out. Let's say those things happen, and then the Vols perform the way they did.
Oh, man.
My God, right? I guess in a way you could. Seriously, you right now root for Michigan to beat Ohio State and USC to win out, TCU to win out. So you can't even, and LSU to beat Georgia.
Yeah.
So you can't you can't even worry about it. You would have been more frustrated at the end on selection day because it actually wouldn't have worked out for you. Root for all those things that happen.
With Hendon Hooker going down, as we know, Joe Milton now the starting quarterback for Tennessee, both in the next 2 games, and we would assume he's the leader in the clubhouse to be the starter next year as well. What does Joe Milton now being the starter mean for the game on Saturday against Vanderbilt and beyond for this Tennessee team?
That's a great question. I think, with Joe Milton, we've talked about this a lot. He is incredibly talented. He is, I know people are going to laugh at this. He has all the tools. Again, we compare, Hendon Hooker to Will Levis. How could you possibly? Well, Will Levis has some tools that are very intriguing to NFL people, okay? Joe Milton has number 1 overall pick talent. Now, the most important thing about a quarterback is accurately throwing the ball with consistency and consistently, making the right decisions. You said earlier in the show, I don't think his decision-making was bad last year for the most part. It wasn't as good as Hooker's, though. Now, you can see the difference in just, boom, see the field, ball out, with Hooker, right? It's the difference. The big problem for Joe Milton last year was just overthrowing passes. I mean, that's really basically just he was the guy in that movie with Ben Stiller shooting, just hitting the backboard every time, But in garbage time this year, it looked like he's really worked hard on that touch, and it looked pretty good. So I don't know. I can't wait to see. I think he has everything at his disposal to be great and to win these last 2 games and to go have a really good year next year. The Hooker standard is a tough one. He's going to be measured by that, and it's a tough one. And I think we're going to see that as time goes on. It's tough to be as efficient and consistent and accurate as Hooker has been. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch Joe Milton.
It's going to be a very intriguing game with Vanderbilt's win against Florida. That game all of a sudden looks very intriguing, whereas a couple weeks ago, maybe not so much. We'll have all week to break that down. Looking forward to doing that in advance of Tennessee and Vanderbilt coming up on Saturday. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Chase, Willie, and D-Mace up next. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Predators